Now this is the Monato's power, the ability to play Xenoblade Chronicles once, rant and rave about it, and then ignore it for 15 days, right? Welcome everybody to another episode of The Good, the Mad, the Ugly. I hope you guys are having a great Friday. As always, we are here to kick off your weekend with a little bit of positivity. You know, most of us in the sphere, we spend the entire week just bombarded with awful crap. So we are here at The Good, the Mad, the Ugly to kick off your weekend on a positive note, talk about things we like, things that were ridiculous, and yeah, overall have a good time, hang out with you guys. If you are here, you obviously know me. I am your host, Spencer Baculi. If you don't know me by that, you know me as Mav, or you may know me as the editor of Bounding Into Comics, but either way, I am happy to be hanging out with you guys tonight for another episode of this beautiful live stream. We have some things to talk about tonight. I don't know about you guys, but it seems like it's been sort of a quieter couple, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in our, in the pop culture, media, entertainment sphere. So, there's nothing big and bombastic to talk about, but we have a lot to get to anyway. And obviously, this being a show where I have a conversation with you guys, there is obviously ample chance for, discussions to branch out, to come in, random topics I might not have thought about, but I'm rambling clearly. But the main topics we have to talk about tonight are the abysmal, or maybe not abysmal, but the giant shakeup that went on at Square Enix earlier this week regarding their upcoming release schedule. A couple weeks ago, Zero Dozer asked if I was going to talk about the remaining episodes of X-Men 97, and I know there's like 2 left to go, but I caught up on what is out so far, and maybe we'll talk about that. Spoiler alert, it's actually it's been more impressive than I thought it was going to be from the first review we did way back when those first 2 or 3 episodes dropped. So maybe we'll get to that. And yeah, from there's always comic book news. Maybe we'll talk a little bit of Ultimates, Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimates coming out. So who knows where tonight will take us. Either way, I'm super thankful and stoked to be hanging out with all of you. And with that said, before we get anywhere, let's get into the chat. I saw there were a bunch of you going before I even got on, and that was super heartening. That was super awesome to see. So, kicking off our stream, the first person today here was my man, Corey. Shout out, hashtag Team Corey, saying this isn't Xenoblade. Yes, it is not. Reeves right there calling me out on not playing Xenoblade. I absolutely know. I am behind it, as I said at the beginning of the stream. So here's a basic, it's going to sound like an excuse, and I'm not using it as an excuse, but I'm just going to explain to everybody who sort of has been wondering where that Xenoblade stream has been over the last couple weeks. So yes, I completely have not gotten back to it. That is on me. But here's sort of why, right? I've had, as you guys know, I've had some scheduling things happen in the past couple weeks where my nights have sort of been more occupied, more than usual. So basically, I wake up in the morning, I work out, I take my dogs out, I eat breakfast, I take a nap, I start work around, 11, noonish. And then from there, right for bounding, yada, yada, yada. And then once I get, free time, it's about 11 o'clock at night if I have any free time, and by then I am just swamped. I know I want to play, but I also have other projects to work on. Like I've got to practice drawing, I've got to practice music, I've got to that kind of stuff. So I just need to get better about my time management 100%, or like I keep saying, just give me cancer, or like that temporary cancer where I'll be sick for like a month or 2 and I'll be bedridden, and then I can just play Xenoblade all day. That's also like another hard part about this endeavor, is that I genuinely want to share it with the crew who first got me onto Xenoblade. So that would be Andrew, Ripaverse Andrew, his Discord server, people like Corey, Reeve, Adam, Andrew himself, obviously. Like I want to share that like with them, so I want to keep streaming it and not just, play in the background and then we jump back in and oh god, we're like 90 hours deeper into the story than I expected. Because I also want to use it as practice for doing more streaming like series. Like if you guys have maybe not watched me, but known me, followed me, seen my YouTube comment in the past or content in the past, I used to stream video games. That was one of the reasons I bought my current streaming setup. But over time, time got away from me, yada, yada, yada. That's beside the point. But basically, back in the day, when I was first starting out with streaming, I would stream a random game here or there, right? I'd be like, oh, I'm going to be playing some Super Robot Wars. Let me throw on a random mission and hang out with y'all. And that's fun, and I want to keep doing that. But I also would like to record more and do, like, uploads and just build my channel more that way. I'm not saying I'm out here to be like a big YouTuber, but provide people more content, more positive stuff. So that I'm trying it. This is the big first outing. So bear with me on Xenoblade. We will get better at this, just like this stream got better. I mean, do you guys remember back in the day when I used to have to like manually hit like swap scene, start last call, and it was just like so awkward. I didn't even have an ending clip. I didn't even have intro music, right? Like slowly but surely we're getting there. So I definitely take my Xenoblade L's. I know that the power of the Monado cannot protect me against the razzing, but that's sort of why it takes me so long to play Xenoblade. I honestly I miss like spring breaks and stuff, right? Or let me, not even spring breaks. I guess just, even like a year or two ago, before I was made editor-in-chief, of Bounding, I would have had more time to do just stuff. And now, obviously, with, being the main content producer for the site, being, in charge of everybody, just running the site, it doesn't seem like it's a lot, but dudes, it takes a lot of energy, a lot of effort. So yeah, it's just a learning process, but yes, definitely taking that L. We've got Timon in the house. Yes, I know, guys. I didn't forget. I know I'm still on shout-outs. Don't worry. We have my boy Timon in the house. Always a pleasure to see Timon. That game. There was a game Timon shared with me the other night. I just want to shout this out because that's what we do here, right? We got to be positive. We got to shout out things that are cool. So I had no idea about this game, but Timon brought it to my attention the other day, and I'm just gonna. Let's see. Let me see which window is going to... Whoop. I need to get the web thing right. All right. Let's switch over to... I'm just going to play the overview, probably without sound, just so everybody can see what I'm talking about, can see why I'm so interested in this game. But Timon showed me this game the other day. He tagged me on Twitter, and it is called... the name's right here. Sword of Convaleria. It is a tactical RPG. Here, let's switch over our screens. We can get to our main setup. We'll also talk about the stream buddy in just a second, as always. But yeah, check this game out. Timon shared this with me. It is very much a like this. I don't know. It's the classic sort of. It combines the modern Square Enix like Dio Field like Chronicles like art style, like the actual character art, with old school like Tactics Ogre, Final Fantasy Tactics, just all the good strategy RPGs. And here's what really sold me on this, which is also a reason why I am super interested in Ayuden Chronicles 100 Heroes. Haven't gotten around to it yet because I will not start another RPG until I finish Xenoblade. I promise you guys that. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth does not count when that eventually drops on PC. If I haven't finished Xenoblade by then, I'm allowing myself the grace to go play Rebirth. But anyway, yeah, so the thing that really got me about this when Timon showed it to me was I love sprite artwork in video games. I think it is a lost art. I think it is just so stylistically beautiful. Things that are sprited, like they tend to hold up way better. I think I've talked about this before, but one of my favorite games of all, or one of my favorite sprite, like sprite works in a video game is Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. But they redid it, like remade it, remastered it back in like 2003 or whatever, and made it 3D. So now you have RE Chain of Memories, which basically just takes a game and puts it in the normal 3D PlayStation PlayStation style. And it is, to me, it's a downgrade. I know a lot of more people find it easier to play because you have the camera and all that fun stuff. Like it can move and rotate. But to me, you lose this beautiful identity that of the game that went into all the sprite work, because it's not just making the sprite, it's considering like, what is the aesthetic of the entire game? What is the sprite trying to convey? The art style, the color scheme. There's so much that goes into this. And yes, if if any of my old head homies are out there, like Nillard, Steven, Al, Flex, you guys know where this stems from, and that's where I got started on the internet was back in the Sprite comic era, or like communities, right? Like Bob and George, 8-Bit Theater, all that stuff. And I did sprite work on my own, obviously. Like, I wanted to make my own characters. I did sprite edits, yada, yada, yada. So I have, admittedly, more of an investment in this art style and medium. But I still just, if you put sprites into a game, I am... And they look good. They've got to look good. Like, you can't... don't give me any of that indie, oh, we're going back to retro gaming, and it's like 4 pixels to represent a guy with a sword. Like, no, get the hell out of my face. But I mean, like, genuine, actual artwork, I am always going to be in for. Boo, this is no sprites, it's just your story. Go to the sprites. Fun fact before I get back to the chat, I just wanted to share this with you guys because I think this looks really good. As always, here... primarily, even though we do make fun of a lot of stuff here, I always want to highlight good things, fun things, recommend things for us all to check out in the bleak landscape we're in. But fun fact before I get back to, oh, look at that, Booba! Like, what that character design sells me right there. But fun fact about my internet origins, I actually came up in the community run by one Brian Saigai Beaumont. Here, this is a deep Mav lore. Like, when I got on the internet, what got me into creativity, all that stuff, is I joined the community around his webcomic. So a few years ago, when all the stuff was blowing up about him being a predator and all that, I was like, oh yeah, actually I remember that now. Like, we were all there. I didn't see any of it personally, but I saw different behaviors, which none of it were great. So a little bit fun Mav lore. Everything is connected at all times. But yes, aside from that, check out Sword of Convaleria, or at least follow its development. Is it out, Timon? Because it says coming fall 2023, so maybe it's out. I don't know. This is the first I heard of it was yesterday when Timon showed it to me. Let's see. Getting back to the chat, we have Ravul saying, oh wait, before we go to Ravul, who says, hail to you, Ravul. I guess I hit you right there. I don't know why I don't know why I said that. Weird. We have Eccentric Banana in the house doing his best. Yo, Adrian, dude. If you hear the name Adrian, or you hear the term like yo, and your mind doesn't jump to that quote from Rocky, I question your general pop culture connectedness, because that is like the only thing I can hear when I hear either of those two words. But I did see Reeve is playing the KOTOR remake right now. I think he's playing, or not the remake, but he is playing the Knights of the Old Republic port. I believe he's playing the Switch one. I just wanted to shout out before we keep going, that I love KOTOR 1. It is probably my favorite piece of Star Wars media that isn't a film. Right, and then because then obviously Empire, A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, those are peak to me. But I love KOTOR so much. I love all the characters. It is written so damn well. It plays so incredibly, and just hands down, Darth Revan, one of the coolest characters, at least before Disney started giving everybody a lightsaber and making everybody so important, blah, blah, blah. The twist and the design of Revan was just like the best thing ever. And I still lose my mind when they make like Revan merch. It makes me upset because the only Revan merch they ever make are like the Hasbro Black series or the vintage collection. And it's like those toys are fine, but those lines are specifically directed at like collectors of those lines, and they're not always like the highest quality figures. I'm sure Andrew knows exactly what I'm talking about, but give me a Figu Arts, give me give me a Figma, give me anything, like just give me a good Revan toy. I don't even think they've made a hot toy of him, and can you imagine how gangbusters that would go if you... And this is how you could do it, guys, right? So, wait, I don't know. I'm going to pause here because I had something I wanted to propose and be like, wouldn't it be cool if they did this? But I am not sure if Reeve's playing KOTOR for the first time, so I don't necessarily want to what I would have had to say would have spoiled a lot or would spoil the game. So Reeve, if you are out there still, let me know if this is your first playthrough or not. If it is, I will completely ignore this topic and we'll move on. But if it's not, I had a really cool idea for a figure. But until such time as we hear back from him, Andrew, no, you weren't a half hour early. Nobody believes you. Nobody. First comment was Corey. What are you talking about? He was right there. That's clearly, if you didn't comment before him, you weren't here. Then we have Tahillim saying, Shalom and good to see you all. Been busy reading the OG Dragon Ball manga run. Dude, incredible read. Always a recommended read. That's one of those series where, like, I'm sure all of us have those, like, books. You know, maybe we are moving our collections around or we're flipping through something to look for a specific page. But when you open it and you start, like, going through it, you end up, like, reading it because you're like, oh, this is so good, so fun. Dragon Ball was one of those stories for me. Like, I go in, I look for a page, I end up reading like 10 chapters, even if I'm working, right? Because it's so good all the time, especially the OG Dragon Ball, where it's more like that's one of the things that I think sets, like, honestly, guys, like, I love Dragon Ball Z, don't get me wrong, but I would say that OG Dragon Ball is better simply because its plot is more of an adventure where different things are happening. You're always meeting new characters, wacky scenarios. I've talked about this before, but one of the things I really like in stories, it's a particular thing more in, like, shonen Japanese stories than it is Western ones. But I like when a villain is, you know, when a hero uses their powers strategically to beat somebody instead of just overpowering them, right? Where, like, for example, Dragon Ball Z, Gohan, you know, Goku beats Frieza by getting stronger than him by being Super Saiyan. Then Gohan beats Cell by just blasting him with a stronger beam. And then when you fight Buu, Goku takes him out by just having a stronger energy ball, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. Some of those scenes are my favorite. The Goku Frieza fight, my absolute favorite moment probably in all of Dragon Ball. Second, or on par with when Trunks shows up and slices Frieza in half, right? Like, Frieza's my favorite Dragon Ball villain. But that typically is how Dragon Ball ends its conflicts, or Dragon Ball Z. But, you know, things like Dragon Ball, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, One Piece, still slightly, it's starting to curve a little bit away from this. But, like, in those series, you see, oh, my powers can't beat this person. I've got to find out a tricky way to use it that, you know, gets around some, like, loophole you didn't think, or they weren't paying attention. There's always these ways that make you go like, oh, damn, like, I didn't see that coming. Oh, dude, you did it. Like, strategy. And yeah, that's what the OG Dragon Ball has way more over Dragon Ball Z. I still love them both, but so, you know, often in recent years especially, we've had a lot of people trying to get into anime and manga as they flee from Western crap. And a lot of people ask, oh, what are some of the things you recommend for beginners, Spencer? You're a giant-ass dumb weeb. Like, you know what you're talking about. And I always say Dragon Ball, but like Dragon Ball, not Z. Because to me, Dragon Ball Z is peak, like, shonen. But Dragon Ball is, while still shonen, it's more of that just, like, wide-spreading, epic adventure. You know, obviously, it's a parody of Journey to the West, which is that giant sweeping mythology all on its own. So, yes, I'm stoked for you, Tahillim. Keep reading it. Always a recommendation to read Dragon Ball. Shinkai is here saying felicitations of malefactors. Wow, is it going, my boy Shinkai? Always happy to see you. Yes, Banana, it's finally Banana points out Spencer rocking the red lumberjack beard. So, yeah, I know most of you guys have been here for the past couple weeks, but a friend of mine wanted to see what it looked like when I grew a beard. She didn't believe that it came in red. And so, yeah, I've grown it in, and you guys can see, despite me being half Filipino and half, like, German white, with no Irish anywhere, with no redhead recessive genes in any of my family, like, being, nobody in my family if they have the recessive red genes, none of them, they weren't strong enough, they didn't present. So, yeah, I don't know where this comes from, but it is red. It is getting fluffier by the day, and we will continue to see where this devolves. But the second it gets to the point where, like, food can get caught in it, this thing is gone, because nothing grosses me out more than like food getting caught in like facial beard hair. I don't know. It's gross. um, Let's see. Yeah, we've got oh shit. Jump to the bottom. Okay, let's see. Zero says, I'm late. Oh, hey, no, you are never late as long as you here. Always a pleasure, my man. Oh, yeah, I jumped really far down. Yeah, Andrew would know, right? Like, he's the Rippaverse's, like, NDA guy. They're everything editor. Like, he's the man in charge. And, yeah, he says managing a team is time-consuming. You don't think it is, right? But then it's like, it's more than just saying like, okay, yeah, do that. It's like you got to think, you've got to strategize how to use them. You've got to think about their assignments. It honestly, being in charge of a company is a strategy game all on its own. So again, I'm not saying my life is particularly hard or different. It's just that's what's going on. Flex is here finally. I knew one of my old heads would be here. Flex says Mav's living off the big streaming bucks in a penthouse with a golden toilet, bro. I would like to. I don't even know how to respond to that because I can't even imagine living in a penthouse with a golden toilet. Like, I live at my parents' house right now. I would love to just have a house, like a ground floor house. Dude, give me a basement. Give me a bunker. Sell me an old, like, Soviet era bunker that I can just go live in, and I would be completely happy with it. And if I was making any money off of streaming bucks, that would be even better. Like, you guys can see the public stats, right? Like, I maybe manage about 50 to 60 views per Good Mav Ugly. I've got sub 100 viewers or subscribers right now. Obviously, I'm growing it. I'm not giving up or admitting defeat, but I am so far from making any money off of this stuff that I can't even begin to consider it. Yes, Reeve says 2008 was Rechain. Yeah, I threw out like a random 2000s date. I didn't think I was accurate. Even when I said 2003, 4, I was like, that's too early. That is way too early. Only a demo. Okay, so Timon says only a demo of Sword of Convaleria is out. Eccentric says indie games have made pixel art popular again. My preferred look, to be honest. Oh, I think you're right. Like, there are indie games that do it right, but also, you know, speaking of the topic of tonight's stream, like Square Enix in recent years has had a sort of resurgence into their sprite art styles. Like, we've seen, Valkyria Profile. We've seen Diofield Chronicles, like I talked about, Triangle Strategy, the Live Alive remake, right? Like, we are seeing a resurgence there, and I'm so happy because to me, it just, something feels better about it. I don't know. I always like more stylized stuff over more realistic looking things, particularly in video games, because that will always hold up 900,000, 4 billion times better. Like, anything stylized will always hold up better than something that aims for hyper realism. For example, you know, go play like a PS1 era RPG or a fighting game, and they're all colorful, even though they have low pixel and poly counts. Like, everybody is colorful, everybody has these designs, everybody makes the most of the like little visual space they have, and because they were working within the limitations of their thing of the hardware, stuff tends to look more stylized and hold up just a little better. Whereas if you go try to play something like Call of Duty 2, I love that game, but you can clearly see its age, especially as we keep going. And it's even worse nowadays because we've advanced so far that the next step in video game technology, graphic technology, is going to put us right in the uncanny valley. So we're now making just tinier incremental steps towards that, but all of those steps, because we're so far along, even the littlest step makes whatever you did previously look completely outdated and weird. So, like, to me, a lot of the games we've gotten in recent years that weren't particularly stylized, like the Far Cry games, the Assassin's Creed games, the Watch Dog games. I know those were all Ubisoft titles, but that's what's coming to my head. The Battlefield games, there's EA, we'll throw it in there. Those games all just, they don't look fun. They feel kind of gross to look at after like a year or two. It's not fantastic. So yes, I'm always a fan, eccentric, of these kind of art styles. Okay, Timon says release date 2024. Okay, good, because yeah, and Timon said only a demo. Genuinely heard nothing about this game until you shared it with me the other day, so I'm looking forward to it. Let's get a different image to look at, because we've been staring at that forever. There's a protagonist guy. But yes, totally into it. And yeah, like Eccentric said, looks cool. Great recommendation. Thank you, Timon. You are the man. Andrew says, I have all the Revan Black Series figures. Super tempted to grab that new hot toy. Did they? Okay, because I said this while I was doing my little rant about Revan, but did they announce a new Revan hot toy? Because they literally just did. That is really fucking hilarious. They literally just announced it, guys, and that's why I didn't know about it. But here, let's check this out. Yeah, that thing looks so cool. I want it so bad. I don't have a hot toy yet. I really want one because I feel like everybody should have at least one. Well, why are they so small? Can't I open up like a bigger image? There we go. They made a. Here's my thing is hot toys are obviously expensive, so I'm not going to go out and buy willy-nilly any character I have a minor affinity for. So obviously, like, I want a Ben, a Scarlet Spider, or like a Scarlet Spider, a Ben in his Spider-Man costume, anything like that. And they've only made one, and it sold out like years ago, and they've never remade the Scarlet Spider. And I'm like, that's what I want. I feel like I can't bring myself to buy another one until I get that one. But this Revan right here is super tempting, especially with the LED powered lightsabers, the cloth. I want to see the cloth in action. Yeah, like that cloth actually moves. That looks great. Like, I would be super, super excited to check that out. There we go. I forgot. We can make the display so much better. But yeah, oh dude, by the way, I love this blade effect that a lot of the Star Wars toys have started using lately, like to show it in motion. I think it's really cool, and that's all I really have to say about it. I just like it. Let's see, what's the difference between, whoa, we are zoomed the hell in. Okay, so then there's the collector's edition, which gets you the figure, the hood, the hands, your lightsabers, 2 lightsaber hilts, a themed figure stand, blah, blah, blah. Okay, then what does exclusive get? An exclusive accessory. Oh, you just get the coin. Is the coin a thing that is like, is that a Star Wars collecting thing? I have no idea. I don't collect. I hate You guys know this. I generally hate Star Wars shit nowadays, so I don't pay attention to any of it. And I'm not collecting the goddamn toys anytime soon, especially with their like lack of quality. So, and I mean like the Hasbro toys. These hot toys are obviously quality, but yeah, dude, I am tempted to get that. It's actually not bad either. $270 for the exclusive Revan. I'm in for that. Let's see. Eccentric says, I love the Frieza saga. Frieza is my favorite too. Dude, to me, Frieza is just like the best villain. He does not give a fuck about you. He is pure evil. He has a goal. He is going towards it. Like, he is indifferent to suffering. He is so good. And so to me, obviously, the scene where Trunks slices him in half and blows him away, that's my favorite scene. I have it literally tattooed on my side. That's how much I love both that scene and Dragon Ball. But my favorite probable, like, it's so hard. It's either that moment or when, like, the other moment I love so much, and to me is like peak Dragon Ball, where nothing gets more hype and better than that, is the end of the Frieza fight, where Frieza is cut in half, right? And he's like struggling on the ground, and Goku's like, the planet's going to explode in the next like 10 minutes. Or you know what? Why do this? Why? I forget. We're not standing at a bar. I can just pull it up and do let's see. Yeah. Okay, yeah, this is the scene I am talking about. Let's pull this bad boy up just so everybody knows what I'm. Just give them something to talk about. Look at that. I could take that away so I can set up the clip, and you guys will have no idea until I hit play what we're watching. or you could hear it in the background. Oh no, you can't because I have it all muted. Let's see. So this moment is probably like my this is just peak. It's 20 seconds. Let's check it out.
What happened?
And yes, English dub.
The most powerful being in the universe!
Goku right here, just.
You fool!
Like, come on. Just pure raw Goku. You know, I gave you mercy and you're not going to take it. So I am absolutely, completely done with you. Kaboom. Like, it's just, that is like, it just, oh, it pumps me up. It just pumps me up so freaking much when that happens. Timon says, let's be honest, Dragon Ball's plot decreases as it goes forward. Super barely has any. I agree. It really does just devolve into like fight. And a lot, if you've talked to me about Dragon Ball before, especially in Andrew's server, like I'm not the biggest fan of the Boo saga, because while there are elements that I like Great Saiyan Man, obviously, Gohan turned Toku hero, I am there for him. Videl, that is my waifu. She's like the best Dragon Ball girl to me, second to Bulma. And I like Gotenks. I like Mr. Satan being an actual like member of their sort of crew. I love Vegito. Vegito is one of my top like 3 Dragon Ball characters in general. I love him, but it's just the overall narrative that they exist in is pretty weak. And it is really just like, okay, we're here. Let's get to the end of this, I guess. Like, Boo is just, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I'm not getting my words right, but yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Boo. I think I've always wanted, and I've said this before, if you're like at max, you end at Cell Saga, right? With Gohan taking over for Goku. But to me, I think the best ending for Dragon Ball would have been the original one Toriyama wanted right after Frieza, where Goku was supposed to, like, he beats Frieza, he saves the universe, and is he alive? Is he dead? We'll never know. He's a hero among the stars, and that's where it was all supposed to close out. Like, that to me would have been an incredibly powerful ending, and I wonder sort of what that alternate universe looks like where that took place. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. Yeah, Tehillim says the original Dragon Ball comes off like a hero comedy story. It definitely has more fun with everything. It definitely is more slapstick than Dragon Ball gets. And I mean, if you think about it, Dragon Ball Z, there are still some slapsticky things as you go on, but once you get closer to like the end of Frieza, then Cell, androids, all that stuff, the humor starts to take sort of a backseat to everything. And it's understandable because that's, you know, the focus of the series sort of shifts, and you can all see that, and it's not like it was sudden, like that's what Toriyama was setting up. But it is still unfortunate because there are so many gags in the original Dragon Ball that I love to death. Like, honestly, I still think one of the funniest little bits is when Pilaf and the gang get the Dragon Balls for the first time, and they're like, we're going to make our wish. And everybody's like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? And Oolong jumps in. He's like, I want a pair of panties. And the dragon's like, that's it? All right, there you go. And then, you know, boo! We'll see you again in a year. And it's like everybody is left stunned and shocked. So, yeah, I love those comedic moments in there, Tehillim. Yeah, oh, you even brought up Oolong's Dragon Ball wish. I didn't even get that far down the chat. I literally just popped that off the top of my head. That's awesome. Good call there. It's Eccentric Banana says, you look like Redhead Shanks except on the face. Hey, I will take that. Shanks is awesome. I will. I guess I got to go get my scars on. I got to chop off an arm. I will go get a straw hat so I can give it to a new viewer every stream, right? Gingerino or Phila Ginger. I like Phila Ginger just because Gingerino sounds like what Ned Flanders would call me if he saw me on the street. Corey says, if you want ideas for beard wash, conditioner, and oils, I'll tell you the brand I use. And you keeping that beard so you don't be gay. I might actually hit you up for that, Corey, because to be honest, I just let it grow. I don't do anything special to it. I don't have beauty care. I'm one of the very few who's lucky enough where like I jump in the shower, get out, and this is what I look like. Like I don't use lotions. I don't use fancy conditioners or anything. I use 2-in-1. I use the Head and Shoulders because my ass has dandruff. Let's see. Flex says the classical magical aspects of DBZ show up more in the TV filler episodes and movies than the manga. I'm just putting a graphic up for us to look at. Oh no, absolutely, Flex. And it's funny you mentioned that because I was actually going to say the same thing. Where if you wanted more of that slapstick, even with the not just like the magical classical adventure aspects, but the humor aspects, those also pop back up in the filler too. Obviously, there's the amazing episode where Goku has to get his like driver's license, but it's not highly comedic per se, like it's not supposed to be like a slapstick fart gag, but one of the bits of sort of subtle physical comedy that happens in that series at that point that I really like, and it happens in a filler episode, is the episode where Gohan and Goku, or everybody really, they take like that day break or the like 1 week. Yeah, I think it's like a day. They take a break for a day before the Cell game so that they can like rest and just sort of relax. And during that lull period, Goku was like, okay, Gohan, we're going to practice staying Super Saiyan all the time so you can manage the form, its power, blah, blah, blah. And while in that form, Gohan keeps like breaking everything. He doesn't know his own strength. Like the one that sticks with me is he picks up a glass of orange juice and it just immediately combusts in his hand because he's just radiating strength. So that always sticks out with me. And yeah, and then obviously if we're talking about like the more magical aspects and that more adventure stuff coming back, point to Garlic Jr. right there. That is a saga where, you have mystical potions and another dimension and just stuff like that. I think, yeah. And then, oh my God, what the hell is that? It's not the Tournament of Power, but the Otherworld tournament, right? That's got the adventure-y mystical aspect because Goku ends up fighting like all these different warriors from across the universe with different moves, and we're in heaven and hell and blah blah blah. Like good little filler bit because it sort of expands more on that mystical nature. You've got the Snake Way stuff. You've got like the princess of I know Snake Way is in the manga, but I mean like they draw out Goku's trip on it, right? Instead of just running, which is what he does in the manga, he has stops and he falls off and he hangs out with the Snake Princess. But that all shows that there is this definite hoodoo voodoo side to the Dragon Ball world that they do really, really. I mean, I guess Babidi is technically magic, but I don't know. It feels more of a cop-out like type magic because it's just like, oh, we created a monster. He's basically just Magic Jiro, right? Like, oh, we created a monster to kill everything. Go for it. And it's like there's no real like limitations to the spell. There's no like things you got to do. I don't know. I think you guys know what I mean. I think I'm losing my point a little bit there, but the mysticism definitely does die down the later we get into Dragon Ball. Oh, let's see, before we keep jumping. Ravul says, just started playing the Legend Legacy HD Remastered on the Switch. Great game. You are in for a good time. I'm not going to spoil anything, but yes, that is a good pickup. Zero says, Mav looking more and more like he's been in The Walking Dead. Look, man, when you've got to shamble across the corpses of the MCU and Square Enix and DC Comics every day, you're going to get grizzled. You're going to ask yourself, am I too old for this shit? Do I need to go start my own encampment away from society? And oh my God, there was like, you guys can probably see me reaching back here, but there was something in my shirt that keeps like bugging the hell out of me, and I have no idea what it is. So that might keep happening, and if it does, I apologize. But really, I have no idea what's itching over here. Flex says, you played Stellar Blade, now you want a hot Korean wife. This is normal. No, I haven't played Stellar Blade yet because I don't have a damn PS5, right? Like, the whole censorship debacle and all of that aside, that's still currently, in the air. We talked about it a little last week where we don't know who ordered censorship where or when or any of that stuff yet. But the main thing is I just don't have a PS5, and I cannot justify spending $500, $600 on the console, and I would be buying the more expensive one because I refuse to have a digital only console in my damn house. Like, I will get shunned. Get out of my house, demon. Like, I need that disc drive on it. So I can't justify spending that money and then buying the only two games that even interest me that are exclusive to PlayStation 5 are Rebirth and Stellar Blade. And considering Square Enix, has already ported pretty much every other game, or let me rephrase that. Square Enix has made it part of their business model in recent years to port their releases to PC, right? We got Final Fantasy VII Remake, we got Final Fantasy 16 obviously came out. Kingdom Hearts series got ported to PC, like 10 years ago. So, and as we've talked about before, in all the trailers for Remake or for Rebirth, they had that explicit disclaimer that the exclusivity period for PS5 is only until like May, the end of May. So once that goes up, that pretty much, it's not going to Switch. It's not going to Xbox. What other platform would a non-exclusivity deal entail? Obviously, it's going to be the PC. So eventually Rebirth will come there. I have to imagine, like, if I'm being a betting man, I would bet good money Stellar Blade will also eventually come to PS5, or I mean to PC. So it's like I don't feel the need to spend $500, $600 for early access essentially to these games, especially because so obviously I want to play Rebirth really bad. I love Final Fantasy VII. You guys know that already. Won't retread that, but I've done a really good job of avoiding spoilers for that game. I don't know anything that really happens in that game past, what scenes play out from the original game. Like, I know Nibelheim gets destroyed. I know there's the whole thing with the Nibelheim stuff. The Sid stuff is in there. The Vincent stuff is in there. But I don't know what the changes are, what the dialogues are, what the story beats are, what the gameplay beats are, what bosses there are, what weapons there are. Like, it's surprisingly easy to be able to avoid spoilers for that stuff, right? Unless you go to a news site, of which there are a few, particularly in our sphere, who do not put spoiler warnings on anything, right? They'll just go, oh, hey, guess what? Here's some Final Fantasy VII Rebirth news. Aerith dies. And you're like, dude, what the hell? Like, you could have warned me about that. I would have jumped away from the article. But it's pretty easy to avoid spoilers. So, I don't feel any rush to go out and get a PS5. And Stellar Blade is not enough of a system seller. Now, if they were like, oh, here's Kingdom Hearts 5, well, shit, you've got me. Like, I literally can't deny it. You've got me. I will be there day one. I will buy your damn console. If you announced a new Kamen Rider Batch Ride War game, which is the Kamen Rider Muso series, and it was PS5 exclusive, I would probably be there on day one or the second you announce it. So there are things that I think hypothetically could get me interested in a PS5, but just neither of these games are, specifically because I'm pretty sure they're both going to come to PC eventually. I can wait. Let's see. Andrew says, I only collect Old Republic and Jedi Fallen Order shit. So, and yes, the only voices, dub voices. That's my man. I like Old Republic. I get it. Obviously, I have just a general disdain for Star Wars nowadays. Just anything, right? I just don't want to engage with it because I'm done with the discourse. I'm done with the bad quality. I'm done with Disney's bullshit. I hate it now. It's so corporate. It so sucks. But I know a lot of people like Jedi Fallen Order. I can't get behind it. It's one of those things, and I'm not denigrating anybody for enjoying it. Again, I know a lot of people like it. It is an objectively quality title that has some fun, especially the first one. It slots into the story and everything really well. It just, to me, I can't shake that stigma that this is just more Disney Disney era bullshit, where, especially because One, it takes place in that stupid gap between I think it's 4 and 5 here. Either way, it doesn't build upon what the sequel trilogy laid out, right? Like, they're doing the Devil May Cry 2 thing, where the sequel trilogy is the most recent thing to happen, but they will keep avoiding writing any stories in that era or past that because they know how awfully it was received. If you guys remember, that is literally what's happening with, and the reason I brought it up, that's what happened with Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry 2 is canonically the most recent event in the series, and it ends with Dante walking into hell and going into, confront like the forces and of Sparta and take his rightful place. But that game was received so poorly by everybody that every entry since has been, it takes place beforehand. Like 3 is the Awakening, 4 takes place right after that, then you have 5, and then at some point down the line 2 happens. And that's what they keep doing with Star Wars. And every time they do that, it just feels to me like, you guys know you screwed up, you're desperate now. It just reeks of like corporate, it just reeks of cynicism to me. And so like I look at it and I'm like, I like Cameron Monaghan. Like I really do, as an actor, as a performer, but I'm just like, I can't do it. I just really don't care about you anymore. And then of course it has Deborah Wilson as like your mentor, whatever. And it's just like, dude, cast anybody else. I'm sick of Deborah Wilson. I don't know why she is the hot stuff. I think somebody on a 01 stream the other week brought up like the reason they made a joke about the reason they cast Deborah Wilson so much is because she already looks like a video game model. And it's like, maybe that's the only explanation, because in the last like 5-10 years, every Western video game has to feature her in some role. Destiny 2, Suicide Squad, Jedi Fallen Order, Forspoken, like every Western developer goes, I need somebody, get Deborah Wilson. And I don't know why. It's almost worse than like casting Laura Bailey and Troy Baker, which is like the laziest casting you can ever do for a male and female character in a video game. But that's what I feel about the newer Star Wars stuff. Also, no, Andrew, Gogeta is not better than Vegito, because Gogeta, what does he do? He does nothing. He only recently got a personality with the superhero or with the Super Broly movie, right? So, like, I will hear nothing against Vegito. Also, I saw Eccentric, since you brought it up, Andrew. Eccentric Banana also noted he loved Frieza in Dragon Ball Super Broly. I love that depiction because one, like, I love that they brought back Frieza. He stayed on his bullshit. Like, he didn't turn over a new leaf. He's still a villain. He still goes right back to being a jackass. And he is, like, full villain still. Like, there's none of this MCU level, like, oh, could maybe the bad guys have a point all along? Or everybody can be, like, none of that bullshit. It is straight up, like, Frieza's a dick. And I particularly love that moment when, and this is what I was talking about, this is why I connected to what Andrew said, because this is one of those, this is where Gogeta got, like, a personality. I love when he's fighting with Broly and they're dashing around, and they're like, we need like a moment, like we need to regroup. And so Gogeta like leads Broly in front of Frieza, and then he like instant transmissions and he's like, have fun. And Frieza's like, what? Oh my god. And he has to go gold and like start fighting against Broly because he's on the rampage and just doesn't know what he's doing. One of the best scenes in the movie. 100% agree. Zero, yes, they were. Toriyama wanted to end the sagas. Zero was saying this is the point. Zero always tries to battle on me. Dragon Ball was never meant to end on the Frieza or Cell sagas. Even at the end of the Cell saga, Toriyama said he was going to keep going a little longer. Okay, what you're missing is that, yes, he absolutely intended for those series to end right there, but it's the Shonen Jump editorial would not let him go because that series was way too profitable for them. So that's why they kept saying one more. Even, yes, I know at the end of Cell, he says, oh, I'm going to keep going a little longer. That's not a statement of him saying like, I'm super jazzed and I'm really into this. It's, I still have more to come, which to me reads as like, yeah, I'm still here. Obviously I'm still going to keep doing this because that's what, Shueisha wanted, but like I don't, yeah, that to me is Shueisha wanted him to do more. So him saying I am going to do more doesn't mean he necessarily was like, this was my overall plan for the series. I mean, they have a history of doing that to him. They literally wouldn't let him end Dr. Slump when he wanted to. Dr. Slump was only supposed to be like 4 chapters or like 20 chapters. It was supposed to be very short and just sort of a side project. But it became so popular that they went, you cannot stop Dr. Slump until you have another series on the deck ready to give us, so that your popularity, your work keeps bringing in people. And it wasn't until he said, here's my draft for Dragon Ball, do Dragon Ball, that Shueisha went, okay, now Dr. Slump can end, start Dragon Ball. And that was after like 4 or 5 years of Dr. Slump. Like, he did not want it to go that long. Let's see. Let's see. I can't, I'm trying to access my chat box. There we go. Let's see. Oh, jumped again, but I can scroll up a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, okay. I jumped a lot. No, see, like, okay. This is what Andrew's also recommending, like beard oils and all that shit. Like, I don't care that much, right? Like, I don't know. My beard grows in fine. I don't really care about, I don't give a shit about any of that sort of stuff. I don't know. I've just never been able to bring myself to really care about scents or like, I've never worn cologne, never felt the need to. I don't use aftershave or anything when I do shave. Like, I don't know. All of this, like, it just naturally sort of works. So I just really don't care. Like, I don't take any of those extra steps. Right. And then again, like, if my beard, shat itself tomorrow, no big deal. I'll go back to being a baby-faced Asian. Let's see. Volume Dealer. Hey, Volume Dealer. What's up in the house? Yeah, update from Volume Dealer. I showed him this last night. But that Megatron that we looked at last week, the one that like auto-transforms via remote and stuff, $900. Still high, but it is $300 less than what we thought it was going to be. And also, like, I'm just more surprised that it's widely available, because I grew up in that era where cool toys like that, 50 of them maybe exist, and you're never going to see them because they're with all the toy collectors or all the celebrities. So the fact that Megatron is like out in the world to retail and purchase, like, for anybody, I think that's really cool. The one bad thing about that Megatron that I'm just going to note, and I can't verify this myself, but Volume brought it up. Apparently, he, like, towers over Grimlock and Optimus Prime, the other ones that were released, the auto-transforming ones. And that just seems weird to me, because it's like, why wouldn't you keep them on the same scale? Because now, like, if I were collecting those, I would be weirded out that Optimus was, like, a little smaller than Megatron. I don't know, so weird. Reeve says, favorite Dragon Ball opening. It's either going to be, and I, for some reason I'm blanking on the name of the track, but ironically enough, the Saiyaman Buu Saga, like, end of series theme, like, whatever that one was, where like, the intro has, like, Gohan and it has him with, like, his sunglasses, and it shows all of his ages, like, progressing through. That's my favorite intro, but I also particularly love the stupid American one, the Dragon, Rock the Dragon Ball Z. Like, it's so stupid, but something about the actual music is always like, LFG, let's go, let's fucking do this. So that's probably, if I'm being serious, it's that end of series Dragon Ball opening. If I'm being a little more cheeky, it's definitely going to be Rock the Dragon from America. And then, yeah, Shinkai brings it up. Mercenary Tao was one of the smartest villains in his filler. Then when he realized Gohan is Goku's son, just quit. Yeah, I liked that too. I liked that they brought back like Mercenary Tao. I just like that really, really, really long callback sort of thing. Like, I liked that. Even in non-filler, I like that Dr. Gero was the android villain. It was like, whoa, we haven't seen this guy in like 15 legitimate years, and he's been here all along. Like, that's good writing. That is Oda levels of, like, bizarre ass writing. Like, I love it so much. Like I can never find it off the top of my head because I always forget the search terms or like what chapters they're in. But one of my favorite moments of like manga anime foreshadowing stuff is in One Piece. Actually, there is a scene where, and I forget who's talking about it, but it's like a fisherman is talking about when like the I forget who. It's like the fishermen are talking about like when they got raided by the Marines and they all got like massacred and their entire place was being burned down. And in the background, and so it's like, wow, devastating event. And then later on, you learn that Boa Hancock was like a fisherman's slave, and she was actually there at that like massacre, and she used it as an opportunity to escape with her sisters. And she recalls that story to, I think, Luffy, and it shows the exact same scene, and it shows, you know, the three women like running away, and you can see sort of behind them the everything going on fire and the fights. If you go back to that like way earlier chapter where they first talk about the massacre, you can see the three of them are drawn there running away. It is literally just like a camera flip. The panel is just a different camera angle, and it's like that is some insane like foreshadowing that you kept that the entire time and it stayed accurate, and it wasn't like that. I love that stuff. Yeah, and then Corey's like, yeah, if it's coming to PC, wait, I like my PS5, but I understand why you don't want to spend money on it. And to be honest, there aren't really many great games for it. I would be in for a PS5 if they just had better offerings. And also, like, just fuck Sony right now. I'm just done with Sony's bullshit, just up and down the board. I mean, they seem so intent between the decisions they're making with PlayStation, with their movie divisions. They just seem intent on making themselves like the most hated company of all time. Like, yeah, like that's just, it seems like that's their goal nowadays. Just this week. So for those of you who don't know, I am going to, here, I will bring up just so we have something different to look at. And then I will just talk about it because that seems to work for us. Just a quick deviation into that Sony thing for those of you who don't know. So I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with like the developer Type Moon. They are the developer behind the Fate Stay Night series, and Melty Blood, all the spin-offs like that. Obviously, their first big work was this game right here, Tsukihime, and they are the game is they're doing very similar to what they did with Fate. So for those who don't know, Fate Stay Night, the gacha title where you summon cute anime versions of historical figures and all that fun stuff. That game actually started out as an erotic visual, it was an eros visual novel way back in the day. So it was all filled with hentai and sex and all, not in just like an exploitative way, but like it was like that was the story. It was an erotic story. Once they finally decided to bring it to the mainstream, obviously they kind of cut all that stuff out and leaned more into like it being an action series, yada yada. So that's what Type Moon's trying to do with Tsukihime now. So as part of that, they are remaking the first title in the entire series. It is obviously the game's getting a digital release. It's going on both the PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. It's going for PS4, but it can be bought on the PSN because that's just how it works. So, but I digress. With earlier this week, Sony or Type Moon announced that by orders of Sony, so the game is getting a limited physical edition release, right? Like it's not widespread; it's very limited, obviously as implied by the name. But as part of the release, you get like a physical copy of the game, a nice collector's box to put it in, and an art book, like a mini art book that's filled with it's sort of like a compilation of other book releases that they've had before for the game. So that's being included in the limited edition physical release. That release is going to both Nintendo and PlayStation, but on like Monday or Tuesday, Type Moon announced that because Sony ordered them to censor the physical art book release from the PlayStation version. So if you go and buy a limited edition physical release of Tsukihime on Switch, you're going to get the art book completely uncensored as it was intended. If you go and buy the same package but for PlayStation, your art book will be censored. This isn't even in-game content. This is literally the physical like a physical item you hold in your hand that they put to you and said, oh, this one's going to be censored. This one isn't. So it's like just this level of bullshit coming out of Sony, this very obvious like grudge against Asian developers. You know, obviously, Zero touched upon it a little bit earlier, the Stellar Blade stuff. All the censorship that happened on that game most likely came at the edict of Sony. If not the costumes, absolutely the censoring of the graffiti piece that all the journalists thought was a reference to the N-word, right? Like, Sony loves doing this shit, and then when it comes to like a Western game, they don't care. Again, The Last of Us 2 has a full-on sex scene. Like, thrusting and grunting and like humping just on screen for you to sit there and watch. But an art book that you do not have to purchase for an adult game, or at least like a teen-rated game, isn't allowed to show some skin. We don't know what pieces were currently censored from the book yet. We'll probably find that out when the game releases in America, or internationally rather. But it's just like, I can't deal with this stuff anymore. Like, you guys are you are a bad company. Oh, and they did the price increase like 6 months ago for PSN that boosted your membership price from like $50 to like 90. Suck my dick. Like, are you absolutely insane? I canceled my PSN that second. I was like, abso-fucking-lutely not. But yeah, so that's just where I'm at with Sony. I'm not saying I would never go back to like Sony. I prefer the Sony ecosystem when it comes to my video games. Like I was a PS4 boy in the last generation. I ended up being a PS3 boy, a PS2 boy. I like that. Like, I like the PlayStation, but you guys, you got to provide me with good service if you want me to engage with your product. I mean, just again, we got the announcement. Here, we can talk about it again because it's Sony related and I'm right here. But we got the announcement yesterday that Helldivers players are now going to be required to link. If you want to play Helldivers 2, you're going to have to link your Steam accounts with your PlayStation account. Because for those who don't know, Helldivers 2 is published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. And while this was sort of a known quantity early on in the title that this requirement would be implemented, it was originally shelved for a while because there were technical issues that just didn't make it work. Now they've apparently solved them, and now they're going to officially require that. But after like months of allowing players to just do whatever, just make your Steam account, play the game, introducing this requirement and making you jump through all these hoops just to play the game and interact with a service that you don't want and accepting the terms of that service that you might not necessarily agree with, right? It's shitty, and people have a right to be upset, and it's going to be, it's not, obviously, yes, the accounts are free. Nobody's complaining about the cost, but it is a service issue. And in this day and age, or not even this day and age, just forever, service is the name of the game. Like, that differentiates you from other companies, right? Like, here, for an example, and it's slightly negative-ish, I guess, but it's complimentary, or it's a complimentary example, but it does concern something that sort of sucks, right? Ripaverse. I know, Andrew. I'm coming for the Ripaverse. But yes, Duck, my man, what is going on? Yes, you absolutely do see some red in this beard. You've seen, Duck, you and I grew up, like, we went to college and have been friends since college. You've absolutely seen me have this red beard. I don't know what you're talking about. But Ripaverse, right? So, so with a lot of crowdfunding campaigns, obviously, we see this across Comicsgate, and not just Comicsgate, but it's like creative endeavors in general. Sometimes people will make a product, you don't like it, you want a refund, they don't deliver, yada, yada, yada. They don't get back to you. They ignore you. They keep posting on social media. You have no idea what's going on. And eventually they might get back to you in like 4 weeks and say, oh, sorry, I already shipped it out. And then you'll notice that like the ship out date was after the date you tried to contact them. And it's like, what the hell is, right? Like, and that is going to sour you and make you go, I really don't like this company. Now, Ripaverse, from what I have seen, kind of handles everything differently. So I am obviously, as much as I love Andrew, I wouldn't say I am a like Rippaverse stan. I like the work they're putting out and I'm interested in it, but I'm not like a diehard supporter. Like I will support it because it's indie comics and they're good, but I'm not just going to sheepishly defend him and bleat all day, right? So obviously people have had some criticisms about his books. Some people were unhappy with the product they eventually got, and they wanted to, let him know and also, get their refunds. For more than probably anybody I've ever seen, save maybe Peter Samedi, who was like that's like a completely different conversation. It's not even the same situation. But Eric will directly reply to them, like a critic, even if they're being a complete jackass. Eric will directly reply to them on Twitter and be like, how can I get your refund to you? Kara will do it too. I've seen Andrew help out on that as well. Like, and so that to me goes, I might not particularly, be the biggest Rippaverse stan, but that earns them my respect. I will now want to support you guys more because you guys are providing good service. And so the more difficult you make it for like a person to access your game, the more people are just going to say, fuck off. And I don't want it. And so yeah, as Reeve sort of points out here, who knows what the hell is going on with Sony nowadays? I really genuinely do not know. I feel like we're starting to see them, remember like a few years ago, like post Endgame and stuff, when we started seeing the cracks in Marvel and Star Wars and just how everything was like where is your leadership? How are all these awful decisions just coming down the pipeline? And then eventually it started, cracking through the facade of the franchise and ruining its reputation. That's where I think Sony is right now. They just have all these yes men up in their board saying, oh yeah, this is a good idea. This is a good idea. This is a good idea. They're not listening to like what people want. And as a result, their reputation is heavily sinking. They're not in a good place right now. Right. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, jumped ahead. Eccentric Banana asks, was the Tsukihime thing Western Sony? Probably, because none of that censorship was applied to the Japanese release of the game, which got the exact same art book on both consoles. So that, I think it might be. We don't have official confirmation yet. Obviously, if we do get that, you will all be one of the first to know if you follow boundingintocomics.com or me on Twitter. Blatant plug. But yes, let's see. Let's see. Ravul says the Nasuverse is incredible. It was mentioned by Aniplex, if memory serves me well. Aniplex is the one in charge of publishing the game, so they were the one who announced that that's what's happening. Type Moon is the developer, so I attributed it to them. But yeah, you are correct, Ravul. It is published. The publisher of the series will be, or of the game will be, Aniplex. Let's see. Zero says people need to stop trying to diminish the fact that Stellar Blade got censored and it was not just a mural or a couple of outfits. Even the gore got toned down. See, to me, I don't care what got toned down. I don't care what got censored. Don't do it. Like, even if they had only censored the gore in the game, if they had only censored the graffiti and the outfits were completely untouched, I would still be pissed because I do not agree with censorship of any kind. If, like ideas and thoughts and whatever, those should be battle. Like, you should fight those with other thoughts. Good debate, not like Destiny, Hassan, stupid Sargon of Akkad level, like, online debates, right? But like genuinely engaging with somebody and talking with them and exchanging ideas. That's how you fight back, and that's how you win over minds and hearts and stuff. You don't do it by saying, oh, no, you can't look at that. You can't do that. This is inappropriate for you. I'm your fucking parent. I'm going to tell you what to do. That's never how it goes. So like, I will always advocate for no censorship at all. Like, battle it back with your own work, right? That's what we should be doing. If the second you have to take the censorship to get your ideology or your point across, you've lost. You've already sort of admitted that you need to use force because your idea is so insanely unpopular. And yeah, like you said, Timon, Baldur's Gate 3 has zoophilia, but cleavage is dangerous. That's the thing. I point this out all the time on Twitter. I try to point it out in any of the relevant articles when they come up. the Western industry genuinely fucking hates the East. Whether it's jealousy, whether it's envy, or let me rephrase that because they're like the same. Whether it's like envy over their talents and like, oh, they're just so good, or it's jealousy over how well their products are received, even though it goes against like their ideology. Like, oh, players, that booby game is selling, even though we said it was bad. How is this possible? Oh my God, what is going on? Like, but all the while, anything in the West that has something sexy, or at least, let me rephrase that. As long as something in the West agrees with their sexual sensibilities, the Western gaming press will be the most hypocritical shit. Like, they will lap it up. And it is so blatantly, like, obvious. Again, we just saw last week where after months of shitting on people for liking Stellar Blade, or like going, oh boy, Eve's going to be attractive, I can't wait. Yeah, sexy games are back. And going, oh, gross, incels, misogynist, blah, blah, blah. Kotaku and pretty much every other branch of the Western gaming industry was essentially publicly masturbating over the Hades 2 characters, right? And they go through such that's where the concept of safe horny like rears its head, right? I think I slightly touched upon this maybe on a 0-1 stream, but safe horny is this concept that's popped up in recent years where that is sort of the label for this behavior. If something is safe horny when it is like, whoa, I accidentally minimized everything. That was weird. Let's bring that back up. So safe horny is when a character is sort of acceptable to like it. What am I trying to say? Safe horny is when a character has been deemed acceptable to like publicly thirst over by the Western industry critical theory like gatekeepers, right? So to them, a character like Cammy or a character like Jury or Eve from Stellar Blade or Tifa from Final Fantasy, those are inappropriate. You do not lust after them because they're such a, and their arguments, they never have a substance to their argument. It is always the mental gymnastics to... It's basically, if you ever get in an argument with somebody over like what safe horny is or why they're criticizing what you like and not what they like, their arguments always boil down to what I like good, what you like bad. It's all preference, and that is not what you make laws or censorship or do anything. You don't take action based on that, right? So, it's just so disingenuous. It is, I sort of lost my train of thought there for a second once everything fell down. But yes, just right. But yeah, like Baldur's Gate 3. Here's 300 articles, boasting about the fact that you can and laughing about and celebrating the fact that you can have sex with a bear. And like, yeah, it's not necessary. I will play devil's advocate here. And yes, it's not necessarily about genuine bestiality, but it's about, oh, this open, this is more sexually adventurous and liberal than all the other games. We got to get behind this 100%. And it's just like, no, the more you do that, the more hypocritical you are, and the more we can all just sort of see through that, right? Duck also asked, do the drapes match the carpet? # no homo. # just curious. They do, but that's beside the point. Let's see. Yeah, Sony will never give the West another Senran Kagura game. No, they won't. I mean, the director of the series literally left Marvelous after it got bought out by Sony because he straight up said, it was too restrictive. They wouldn't let me make what I wanted to make. Watch, check this out. I know I wrote about it. Oh, did I not write about it? Come on. Maybe it's in this article. No, it doesn't. Oh, yeah, there it is. In 2019, after exiting the Senran Kagura creator and producer Kenichiro Takaki gave an interview, and they were like, "Why did you leave Marvelous and Sony?" And he said, "Quote: Sexual expressions are criticized, but there are also many people who enjoy them. I believed that such variations were one of the things that supported the game industry, but I was surprised at how easily they could be destroyed. I welcome regulations and restrictions to protect specific genres and ranges. However, I feel the current trend is definitely aimed at destroying them. Like, everybody is aware of this bullshit. We know. That's why the Stellar Blade thing caught so many people's attention, where Stellar Blade was going, no censorship. Absolutely not. Like, people wanted that to win, but unfortunately, Sony won out in the end. And really, what can you do about it at this point? Except make your voices heard, right? Vote with your wallets, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, Shinkai says, first time hearing Safe Horny and just want to yell like Goku saying, you fool. It's meant to be like a denigrating term. You're supposed to use it as like so this is just Safe Horny. Like, because what often happens is, and we saw it a lot with the recent Stellar Blade debate, when people, what am I trying to say? The Western game industry will get disingenuous. People, when they're, what am I trying to say? Ideologues, when they, have their points completely countered or whatever, they will start reaching and sort of trying to look for anything that will prove that. I don't know why. I just lost my train of thought there. I will probably come back to it, but I don't. Oh, right. Safe Horny. So, in these debates, right, you go, Eve, a lot of people will go, journalists hate Eve. They hate 2B. They hate Bayonetta. And that's true, right? And they'll point out like all the articles where they insulted and denigrated and called people misogynists for enjoying the game. And they'll point to all of that. And people will go, see, the Western industry hates this. Like, this is proof. And because they can't accept, not everybody praising exactly what they're doing. Like, this is how you know they have no principles, because it's based on approval from people. These idiots will come out and go, oh, no. We've loved sexy video games all the time. It just depends on what the sexy is. And it depends, again, making those gymnastics to just basically say it's okay for me to get a boner, but not you. So it's just, oh God, yeah, Nils is here. Just go watch porn being the default response for having no argument. This is, yes, I agree with you, Nils. Also, shout out to Nils, that's my boy. But here's what always, I really do want to talk about that, because that response gets thrown out a lot, right? You go, oh, why did you censor Eve's outfit? Why is this, character showing less skin? And you'll get everybody coming out and going, oh, why can't play video games with without masturbating? You're such a pervert. You're so horny, like gross. You go watch porn if you want to be titillated, whatever. And it's like, nobody ever says that. And the people who use that argument are projecting shit onto you. We have a very serious issue nowadays with the concept of sexuality, not just on the left or right, it's not political either. It is everywhere in this country, where on the right, sexuality is something to be completely shunned because it's impure. And on the left, sexuality is something to be, hidden because it could possibly reinforce stereotypes and image and blah, 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 blah. So everybody is in this weird loop where, their hangups, it is those people who use this excuse, it is their inability to look at anything without, getting sexually aroused. That's on them, and they're trying to project it on you. If you ever run into that argument, just ignore them. There is no substance to it. It is them going, they think you're thinking that because that's what they want to, that's what they think right away. Just look at the fact that they are calling for censorship. They don't trust themselves. That's what they're telling you. When they go, we need to censor this, we need to make sure this doesn't, go out. They are telling you, I am unable to control myself like an adult around, a sexy product, a violent product, a product that goes against my, beliefs or ideology. That's what they're telling you. That's an emotionally stunted person. And that's the kind of person who should not be given credence in these arguments, because they are just whining, and it's all narcissism, and it's just the same bullshit we see time and time again. And I know this gets brought up in every discussion of this, and it's sort of straw manny at this point, but Leslie Tarkin over on the 01 stream always brings this up. Various other women like Melanie Max brought it up, as much as I am remiss to mention her. Like, women like sex, like to them, they want to see sexy women. A lot, Laura Croft had more. Laura Croft was insanely popular with women back when she was the giant, gazonga, short, gun-toting sex icon from the 90s, more so than she is now, being more quote-unquote realistic. And so, like, don't believe their lies. Like, don't fucking, like, whatchamacallit? Like, just don't buy it. Or like, don't give that credence. You don't need to, because there's nothing, their argument for banning this stuff is never of any worth. It is always telling on themselves. Tehillim says, sounds like the majority of government these days. 100%. It's all that same. Now we are, and it's not even new. Like, we have continually, since like the founding of the world, been slowly moving towards this like more nanny state level thing. And I mean nanny state in the sense that more and more people just want everybody else to do things for them and enforce their way. And that's all, like, that's the end of the story. They just want big papa government to go in and go, no anime titties. And that's great for them. And it's just like, so they will willingly give up more power to the government, and the government will use it. Why would if you ever give a government a power, why would they ever not use it? This is like, I know this is a slight tangent, and this is not particularly a political show, but I swear, like, remember this, guys. Any power you like introduce for your party will eventually be used against you when the pendulum swings back. In life, in world history, right? Like, countries and cultures, they go through periods of, like, conservatism, and they go through periods of liberalism, and they swing back and forth in between them. And that's why you see, like, we had 2 terms of Obama, and then we had 2 terms or a term of Trump, and then we had a term of Biden, right? Like, pendulum swings. So don't give somebody the like weapon that they can use to shut you down. Yes, we'd like to, stack the bench, the Supreme Court, and also introduce a speech law on the internet so people can't talk shit about Democrats. Okay, well, guess what? Now you're in Republicans in office, and they can use those exact powers to get their own way, right? Like, it's not strategy. It's sort of like what we were talking about before. It's not strategy if you're just constantly powering up, because eventually the power scaling gets to a point where you're just blowing up everything that you touch. Yeah, Nils, political, I'd call that historical precedence. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, if a government gets that power, they're not going to not use it. And then Flex says, exactly, quote Al Bundy, the hero himself, pretty women make us buy beer, ugly women make us drink beer. But, like, they don't want, it's so, here's what my reaction to that statement is right now. Like, I love that statement. It's a funny quip from Al, and there's some truth to it. But, like, the censor happy people from, like, Kotaku or Sony or whatever, like, to them, it's like, you're not allowed to think someone's ugly, right? Unless we say it's okay to think they're ugly. Again, I don't like either of the 2 people I'm about to mention, but Alyssa Mercanti, the Kotaku senior editor, when she starts talking shit on Mark Kern's appearance, that completely torpedoes all of your narratives about inclusivity, like, beauty inclusivity, body inclusivity, yada, 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 because that to you should reveal that all of this bullshit, more often than not, boils down to high school cafeteria politics, right? Like, it's just people wanting attention, wanting to be the star, wanting to make their mark on the industry and have a Wikipedia page. Like, that's it's such bullshit, right? And it's like, yeah, Eccentric Banana says Alyssa looks like Smeagol to me, but you're not allowed to say that. She's allowed to talk shit on you, but the second you talk shit on her appearance, well, she might just have preferences, but if you don't like her, you hate women. You have a deep-seated bigotry that you haven't addressed, and it's all these problems that you need to work on. She doesn't need to work on herself because she's picked the right target. And it's just like that. Don't get caught up in this shit. Like, I know more. I know that. Like, I know this audience, right? All of you folks who are with me right now, who actively chat with me every week, to the like 30, 20, 40, 50 viewers who always catch me in the replay, all of you guys here, I would generally like to think are sort of, because you're here, because you're listening to me, you sort of share a little bit of my, damn it, Banana, you made me lose my train of thought because I read your rules for thee, not for me, and I'm just like, now that's like all that's running through my head. But, oh, right. So, yeah, if you're a viewer here and you know me, I'm almost positive that you share this sort of belief that these spaces that we exist, that like our media spaces, our entertainment spaces, whether it be video games, comic books, movies, television, there's so many like grifters and ideologues on all sides who just will latch onto a topic because it will get them clicks, because it is currently being talked about. There is a particular news site out there where they continually keep covering the Stellar Blade controversy, right? And like, oh, it's being censored, how awful, blah, blah, blah. But I know for a fact that the person writing those articles is 100% in favor of censorship when it agrees with their beliefs and their like values and their whatever, right? So we all see that like too many grifters and stuff try to come into this and use our hobby as a battleground. So like where I'm coming from is I don't want any of your guys' bullshit in here. I don't want it. Like, we need to move on from trying to rally. If all this fighting and rallying around figures, it's just blood sports. It doesn't improve the quality of the stuff we love. Improving the quality of the stuff we love means, doing earnest reviews of things, not just sitting there going, oh, it's shit because I assumed so. Doing the work means going in and creating your own shit to push back and give people an alternative to whatever you're seeing. It's not, haranguing specific people all day or listening to somebody just because they said one thing that you particularly agree with. Like, and so I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I know all my viewers here, we want a return of integrity to these mediums. We want people who actually enjoy these mediums to be working on them, to be engaging with them. I want to hear, when a video game comes out, I want to hear the opinion of somebody, like all of us in the chat who've played video games, who, have a favorite video game that isn't a Sony release from the last 5 years. We want to hear that. We don't want to hear, culture war this, culture war that. Like, those topics will be there, but our goals here, right? Like our general feelings is we want that stuff out, not we want that stuff in, but only on our side, which is what too much of the stuff is becoming. And so, like, I guess the takeaway, the wrap up at the end of that little bit is just like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's fuck 'em. It is what it is, right? Don't let anybody tell you what you're not adult enough or mature enough to handle. You should be able to make that decision on your own. Yes, there are things like age ratings, like M ratings, teen ratings, yada, yada, which are good recommendations because, yes, there is a discussion to be made about what age group you should be accessing that sort of content. But again, that doesn't stop it from being sold. If something gets an M rating, you can still buy it. It just won't be sold to teenagers, which is that's not censorship. That's just restricting something. I mean, alcohol and cigarettes are the same way. Unfortunately, alcohol should, age of alcohol consumption in America at least lower to 18. That's my biggest hot take of the night. Yes, Eccentric is saying, you're welcome for throwing off my mind. Neil says, I might have seen so many articles from that particular site, it looks like spam. Yeah, like, And then like what Eccentric says here, sites mostly cover controversy. And that's true. And like this site in particular is covering the controversy. And that's why there are so many articles, even though they are clearly reaching for like SEO optimization, because any article, like any pundit or article or writer or whatever that keeps citing like Grums as the perfect figurehead that we should all be listening to, or keeps highlighting his actions as like his every action as a winner, that is somebody like that to me signals you are caught up in the culture war aspect of this. But I'd rather not say. I think it's pretty obvious from what I am saying. Everybody can sort of infer from it. I'm going to avoid. It has to do. It's a place where you can go get news about parks. That sort of place. But but more to like Eccentric's point. Yes, sites mostly cover controversy. I mean, I run Bounding into Comics. Controversy is our main bread and butter, right? But what I'm saying is that we have to be, or not just we, but like anybody people should be more selective about who they're listening to for their news sources. If you're listening to a source who keeps going, oh yeah, Cellular Blade's being censored, but they 100% support censorship in other instances, that's not somebody who is in your best interest. Again, that's somebody who is just interested in the culture war. That sort of person will look at a comic book or a book and go, the only reason I'm interested in it or that I'm even talking about it is because it goes against my beliefs. So I just like, part of what I was saying is like in our sphere, we just need more, and in the industry and just in the creative arts altogether, like genuineness, right? Authenticity. People should be going out and looking to pundits, like go to the pundits on a topic who actually know what they're talking about, and they're not just using it to get a click, right? Like, for example, I am not religious. I do not like, I don't like organized religion at all. I am agnostic when it comes to the concept of God. And so with that, unless it is a very, very blatant over the top statement from somebody, I generally avoid criticizing people's statements on Christianity or anything, because it would not be authentic coming from me. Anybody who saw that article and knew me would go, why the fuck is the guy who doesn't even really believe writing the article about God? He's clearly just trying to, inflame shit. And here's a good example. Right here. Josh wrote the story earlier today. Succession star Brian Cox says the Bible is, quote, one of the worst books ever, argues, quote, it is not the truth, it's a mythology. Good story, but if I had written that and I was trying to say, here's why it's, this is dumb, it would have felt weird and disingenuous from me. But because Josh is our like more conservative leaning writer, and he is also religious, it works coming from him. Same thing with all the articles from Jacob and whatnot. I mean, one of the big criticisms I got when I became editor-in-chief of the site was, why aren't you covering more right-wing stuff? Like, why aren't you, going off, like, why aren't you being the conservative fighter? And I'm like, because that's not who I am. And our readers would 100% be able to smell that the second, like, I tried to be that character. So instead of that, I'm going to focus on what I know, which is, comic book continuity, Marvel cinematic continuity, anime, censorship, stuff like, video games, stuff that I actually have like I'm a subject matter expert on. That's the stuff that I'll cover, and I'll let the other people cover those topics because that's stuff they actually are like know and are passionate about. So like cover controversy, but also always be cognizant of who is relaying the news to you. You know what I mean? Nil says, Grums doesn't even check his sources before he posts shit. Please don't let him be a figurehead. And then, Reeve, while Grums does bring attention to things, his posts almost never tell the whole story. His focus should be on other things like, oh, I don't know, Ember. Yes, I think both of you, that's literally my opinion, my feelings on all of this, like the Grums situation. I respect his contributions to video gaming, right? Like World of Warcraft, StarCraft. You cannot deny the man was influential and did great work. However, nowadays, especially now that he's been on this like DEI Sweet Baby Ink kick. It really is just him doing the bombastic, like, oh my god, what is this? Oh my god, I'm gonna throw this out, like, look, give me attention because oh my god, look at what's happening. And then, you know, taking personal, and then he's just like keeps flinging shit at people and then playing the victim, right? Like, again, guys, the definitive moment where I went, this dude has fucking lost the plot and we need to reevaluate how much attention we're giving him, was the Alyssa Mercante April Fool's joke, right? So Kern has been accusing Alyssa of stalking him. Like, oh, she stalks me. She's following me everywhere because she follows my account, then she unfollowed my account, and she's talking about me. And one, it's like, it's not stalking. That's just sort of like keeping appraised of a situation, which is one, what social media is for. And two, that's what your ass does. And all of the people that you associate with, like, they monitor other accounts and go like, look at what they're saying. You, Kern, do that to Alyssa. So you don't have any right to go, oh, she's stalking me, blah, blah, blah. But then on April 1st, he puts out this really creepy, like, meme, or like not even a meme. It's an image where he's trying to mock that fact. And it's like a wedding invitation for him and Alyssa. And it's just like, what the fuck are you, like, it's so, let me see if I can find it. It's just, it's legitimately, it's legitimately just like one of the saddest things. Like, oh, here it is. He didn't even, it's still up. All right. Like, what the fuck is this? This is so weird. There was no need to make this weird bent about it. Why are you even like, you guys know me. I'm not, you know, going like, oh, it's so misogynistic. Oh, blah, blah, blah. But it's just fucking weird, right? Like, I don't know really what, I don't have any more commentary on this other than it's fucking weird. And this was the moment when he kept doubling down and saying, no, it's funny. It's funny. It's not creepy or weird or anything, that I went, yeah, you've completely lost the plot. And this is all about you now. Let's see. Yeah, exactly, Volume. It's not bounding into conservatives. It's bounding into comics. So we're going to give you comic book news. Eccentric Banana says, I didn't know who he was until the last few weeks. And I mean, there's a reason for that, right? I mean, he is, the reason you know him so much, or you've heard of him so much recently, is because he has been jumping on this, the anti-censorship train, essentially, like the Sweet Baby Ink stuff. He jumped in when Suicide Squad dropped, and then he's been going on the Stellar Blade stuff, and he's been fighting with Kotaku constantly. And it's just like, he is so disingenuous, sort of, in like when he, like Nil said, like he'll point out things and he won't give the whole story. He, you know, he is very hypocritical by playing the victim when he does the exact same behavior to them. Like, to me, like, I agree with you, Zero. Kern let the whole Gamergate 2 shit go to his head. He now believes he is the sort of like charging general leader of men, but he's not. Right? Oh yeah, 100% Cage or Corey. He is I wouldn't say he's like full grifter. Like, he's not like a Milo Yiannopoulos, right? But he is definitely not in this for completely genuine reasons. I think he does appreciate video games and he doesn't want things to be censored. But considering he's now just, you know, flinging at anybody who comes his way, including just like random social media people, that to me communicates he's more in it for the fight than he is for the actual work. For example, right? Like, I'm going to at least talk from a personal standpoint. I get, you know, inundated, whether it's through the Bounding account or my own account, pretty regularly with criticism about, you know, my takes, about calling out censorship, about calling out people for lying, calling out Marvel Comics for making bad comics, yada, yada, yada. However, because to me, like, in my opinion, I ignore all that stuff because that's not important. My work over at Bounding, reporting on the stuff, that's the mission. That's what I should be focused on because that's the stuff that actually gets out there. The second I start spending all of my time on Twitter engaging with every single critic of mine, that's when you guys would know, like, okay, he's getting a little bit, like, full of himself. What happened to the actual work, right? So, I'm not a fan of his. Yeah, Grums has been on Geeks and Gamers and Flashcast multiple times. He's also been on WDW Pro and That Park Place. Again, my issues with the news side of the site aside, the entire team over at that Park Place, aside from that, WDW Pro, Lou Wasserman, Jonas, Nolan Thunder, Hangry, like I love them all. They're really great. But yeah, Grums has been on there before, and that's sort of like it is what you're seeing is sort of that same symptom we used to see on cable news, right? Where one person becomes, gets attached to a story, and after that, that person becomes sort of the go-to contact for like the media. Like, oh, we want to talk about this. Oh, we want to talk about this. So then that person keeps getting put everywhere, and it sort of reinforces this idea that, yeah, this person is somebody to pay attention to, and like has an authority of some sort in here. Even if they don't, even if they know just that one particular situation that they were involved in, they don't necessarily know the rest of the topic. So that's why, I don't really fault anybody for bringing him on their shows and talking to him and hearing what he has to say. I just like with, that Park Place and Fandom Poop, like those sorts of outlets where they just take everything Grum says or Mark Kern says and says, this is the best. Like, we got to do this. He's right. He's on point. Listen to him. Like that. None of that to me signals that you guys actually care about any of this stuff. This just signals to me that you care about winning a fight. And while, of course, we need to win a fight against the ideologues and, push that stuff out of these creative mediums, the entire point of doing so should not be to replace it with another equally intrusive, equally censorious, like, babysitter, right? So, Eccentric says, so are you saying you'd never invite him to Bounding into Comics? I would, but if I invited him to Bounding onto Comics, he would not be getting softball questions. I'd be pressing him on a lot of the stuff he's doing. I mean, literally, I'm going to pull up this tweet because I was just like, this is the sort of move you don't make if you're trying to have your work, for lack of a better term, taken seriously, right? So let me find it just really quick. Talk amongst yourselves because, yeah, Kern, like, all he does is tweet all day. And I know I saw this, like, let's see. Did he delete it? Oh no, here we go. So he made this tweet, like 2 days ago. And if you're enjoying watching me fight censorship and speaking out, please subscribe. Goes towards my Steam library. That right the fuck there, even if you're looking for like financial support because you're like, oh, this is, I've spent a lot of time doing this. This does not help. This signals you're being a fucking grifter. This is not how you do it. Like, just an embarrassing move. Even if I'm going to give, devil's advocate moment, giving him the benefit of the doubt that he is truly 100% only in this fight for altruistic reasons. This doesn't fucking help. This does not signal to anybody. This literally says, if you enjoy seeing me do this work, I'm fighting against censorship, give me money. And it's like, no, we should be focused on collectively fighting against it, not just promoting your ass, right? Yep. Shout out to my dude Copa. Love Copa. He's a great dude. Copa, if you ever happen to catch this stream or any of my other streams, we miss you over at the Bounding into Comics 01. Stop by again. It's been a while. Haven't talked to you in a while. Yeah, Volume. I wouldn't give Eric July softball questions. I wouldn't either. Like, I'm not one to give softball questions, really. I mean, you can still find it. It's still on Bounding. It's still on our YouTube page. But one of the first things I ever did when I joined Bounding was I interviewed the creator showrunner of... I forget what the hell the name of the show was, but it was this like King Arthur story where Ninue, whatever that character's name is, like she got the sword for a little while, and it was sort of like a girl bossy take on the King Arthur legend, and King Arthur was black and stuff. And so that Netflix said, do you want to do an interview? And I was like, yeah, of course, like that'd be cool, probably get some traffic for the site. And in the interview, instead of just going like, oh, what were your inspirations? I was like, talk to me, like what you know, what did you do to differentiate this character from all the other girl bosses out there? What would you say about the criticism of race swapping Arthur? Like, if you don't push back, you're literally just being nothing more than a cheerleader. And I think more people need to push back when they're having these discussions. Eccentric Banana, he would have been better off leaving that last part out. Exactly. Like in the first half, totally fine, almost. Like, you know, if you are enjoying watching me fight censorship and speaking out, please subscribe. Maybe you say something like, this is costly and I need to keep the lights on in my house or something while, you know, this is taking more of my time away from developing, blah, blah, blah. Something like that. Not just, hey, give me money so I can play video games. This is such an incredibly tone-deaf move from him. Corey, like, I can see how he's being sarcastic about that tweet, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I can see an argument being made for it being sarcastic, but just not a good move at all. Like, it's not good because there's no indication he didn't put a sarcasm symbol there. This is the internet. It's bad optics, sort of, no matter what intention he had behind that statement. And then, yeah, Nil says the money sure doesn't go towards his game. So that's one thing. I also like. Okay, I am done with Copa's GIF. I do not want to watch that forever. So we are going to let's just click on his profile. We'll just hang out there for a second. Whatever. Yeah. So another thing that people I want to like highlight and sort of reinforce and bring up and make sure people are just aware of is that. Oh yeah. So pause. Eccentric Banana says maybe if he added a specific emoji to signify sarcasm. Yeah, if he'd have like put an emoji that's laughing or like the /S that you see on like Reddit or Twitter sometimes, something to indicate that it's a joke. Otherwise, it comes off awful. And honestly, even if he did put those like joking symbols, to me, that would sort of communicate like the Joker meme, right? Like you're laughing. People think that you are grifting for games and you're laughing. Like that's sort of, again, I just think it was a bad move to make whatsoever. Like, I don't really see how there was a good way for him to put that little statement at the end. Yeah, like that one. Exactly, Banana. Yeah, Corey says, I get what you're saying. He's coming off as a grifter and wants your money. And then Corey also says, or like me and my friend Americus would do, use just a bunch of periods at the end of the comments. Yeah, like my friends and I, we like bold everything when we're intentionally being like sarcastic and stupid. Like there are definitely ways you can do that, like be sarcastic on the internet, but you have to like let the people know. You just know, because we can't read his facial expressions, we can't read his body language, we're not in the moment with him, so it's just all sort of left to our own devices to guess. But the thing that also sort of tarnishes Grum's outlook on all of this stuff to me is that he has almost sort of not proven himself any better than a lot of the early access devs that we've seen before. So, for those who don't know, Grums is currently working on, or he is supposedly working on a game called Ember, which is essentially supposed to be like Planetfall and third-person anime robots in a big old MMO combat arena where, yeah, like you can fall in from the planet's atmosphere and just travel over. It's very ambitious. It's very big. And he's been working on this project for about, I'm going to be very conservative here, but also like that's how you know this is bad, because I'm being very conservative about it. Maybe at best, like I am the straightest man. I am the straightest man on YouTube. How did you know about that? Yeah, I'm playing Xenoblade right now. That's how straight I am. But for the for the last at least like 5 years, he's been dev up, and I'm pretty sure it's longer. I just don't have the facts in front of me. You know, I have the internet in front of me. Why don't I just look? I'll just see when the Twitter account was made. So, May 2020. So yeah, at least like 4 years he's been working on this game. And all the while he keeps saying like, oh, it's coming. Like you can buy founders packs, you can buy pre-orders, you can do all that stuff. But we've literally never seen, like, this is all they have right now. We've never seen gameplay. We've never seen anything past these very simple model things, right? And this is 2021. We haven't had an update here for 2023. This game, like, I don't know where this game is, but every day it just feels more and more like vaporware. And I have a personal attention to this, I guess. Like, it's been on my radar because, like, last year before that, the team over at Iconic Comics announced that there would be a Common America collab, that a Common America mech would be available in Ember, and I signed up for it. It was a free thing. It was like, sign up for our newsletter, you get a free Common America person. I was like, great. Still nowhere to use it. Still have no idea where it is. And so I'm not seeing anything out of Grums lately that is sort of that different from a lot of the behaviors we've seen before. And it just makes me cautious, and it makes me want to just, warn everybody, make sure everybody sort of just knows what's going on, because it is far too easy, especially in this day and age, to latch on to a figurehead, even if they truly, truly don't deserve it. Let's see. Nil says, here we go. Nil says, I signed up for the forums when I heard about Ember, when he heard about it. My account says, and you're American, so November 8th, 2019. So at least 2019, right? Like, that's pretty rough. Let's see, like, just what they're, coming soon. See, here, at least 2017. This FAQ post is from 2017. So we're looking at 7 years of games. And, like, look at the sort of stuff it's talking about that it wants to offer you, right? So, a multiplayer open world co-op shooter that pits players against a ruthless shape-shifting alien army we call Shifters. This game is a simulated war where massive battles ebb and flow across the planet's surface. Hundreds of players will be fighting at any given time in skirmishes involving mechs, giant monsters, and military bases. So this is like Planetfall mixed with, or is it PlanetSide? Whatever that game was. There was one of them where you could, like, Halo drop in, and it was really fun. I did it all the time. But it's like that combined with Helldivers 2, essentially. But in addition to that, it's like, here's you pilot your mechs, you collect things, you have crafting, you have mining, you have, like, invasion events where lots of shit happens. You can build bases. It's supposed to have a giant actual story. It's supposed to have continual updates and downloadable content, character creation. No, that doesn't matter. No PvP. Like this is a really ambitious project. Off the top of my head, I think of Pal World, which offered that sort of crafting survival with a base builder and lots of random instances. Sometimes you would get enemy, like, mobs of, like, the like religious cult people, right, who had, like, guns, or a certain POW would show up and swarm the base. And, like, after dedicated development from somebody who really, really, really wanted to make a video game, it's still very rough. Yeah, I know Power World's still in early access, but, like, if that's where Power World's at, I don't even know how you're going to get any of this in any sort of reasonable amount of time to keep people, like, believing that it's actually coming. Like, it's so bad. And then, see, like, no subscription fees, but will there be a cash shop? Definitely, right? Like, how many people are working on Ember? 3 or 4. It's so pie in the sky. And I know all of us here have all seen various Kickstarters and various, like, Indiegogo crowdfunding campaigns completely shit the bed, right? For as great as they sounded on paper, and when we were throwing our money to them in the beginning, the end product is actual fucking garbage. I mean, Mighty Number 9 ring a bell to anyone? Like, that was really, really bad. That was an awful game that was crowdfunded. There's one, and I can't remember what the specific thing was, but there was a board game being kickstarted and it raised its money and it was being in development. And one day the dev just said, hey, I'm not working on this anymore because the literal sun is telling me that my purpose in life has changed and that I need to go into deeper communication with him. So it's like, I personally do not trust crowdfunding campaigns that unless you're like a very established brand. Like, for example, I love the Iconic Comics team. I love Common America. I didn't buy their first couple volumes or releases because I was not sure yet whether they would deliver. Now that they have, like, I've got their omnibuses, I've got their the Black Ops crossover. Like, I buy everything that comes down the pipe because I know now that they can deliver on their promises, right? Let's see. Yeah, like Star Citizen, Ember has a ton of promised skins, but no model to put them on yet. 7 years and not even a public demo or prototype. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's but again, Nils, like, I'm even more baffled that after, let's see, 3 years ago, we were still getting very rough bump mapped, like, demo areas. Like, they don't have, you can still see the grid, right? Like, this is that, so that would be like 4 years into development, and that's all we had. That's not particularly fantastic. That's not entirely great, right? Like, that's just not like inspiring. Let's see. Corey said the whole thing about people offering money to make him disappear, he should know by now that you get known like him, you're going to get death threats. Just got to ignore them. So let me get back to that because there are a couple comments I want to hit, but that should be something I do want to talk about that, Corey. Thank you for bringing that up. Ravul says his Ember Discord has constant updates, but for like what? Why is it only on Discord? I feel like if you were really trying to get the word out, you have a Twitter account. Use it. Like that's what I mean. Like, don't, if you go through like these links to hide something that you're already publicly like talking about, it's very, very weird. Like, for example, there are always like in indie, there are indie games that'll be like, hey, we're about to release, come join the Discord, right? For updates. And you go and you join the update or the Discord and you like listen, you meet the community and you get the updates. But they also, you know, while they might do like minor ones, like, oh, hey guys, check out the new color shirt we just added to the store or whatever. The big updates will still go out, or like the big information, like, yeah, updates will still go out to that like social media. You might not talk about the specific colors, but you'll go, hey, new clothing options are on the way. And the fact that they're not doing that does not inspire confidence. Oh God, don't even, Reeve, how fucking dare you? How dare you? How dare you? Remind me of this. Reeve says, Keiji Inafune also made a Kickstarter for a game called Red Ash, a Mega Man Legends spiritual successor, and that just disappeared. Fuck all of that. That is an entire stream on its own, but Keiji Inafune, he is a con man. He did Mighty Number 9, ran with the money, said goodbye, reappeared like last year doing an NFT project that was just him basically taking his Maverick designs from Mega Man X and mashing them together. Very, very scummy, very, very scammy. But the whole Red Ash Mega Man Legends debacle, I'm still mad at, because that started out life as the proper sequel to Mega Man Legends 2. It was Mega Man Legends 3, and then they went, we're going to do like an open dev thing and invite you guys to help us make the game. And everybody was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then they went, maybe it won't be Legends, but we'll do Red Ash. And that's sort of a prototype game for this. And the protagonist will be a side character in Legends 3. And that whole entire thing just like exploded in our faces, right? Yeah, Corey, I remember when Power World was popular, then Helldivers came out, which is a shame because I will admit, I don't play Power World anymore, but having kept appraised of like its Twitter and stuff, they are doing lots of significant improvements to the game. If they ever get to the point, what I need from the game is I need like a story, I need evolutions, and I need like, yeah, like mostly this is sort of related to having a story, but like something to push me going. Just having all the things there is cool for like a couple days, but then it's like, is there a method? Like, is there anything I'm supposed to do here, or am I just freaking here? Okay, so, Nils brings up Firefall. Kern was the lead dev of that too. For those who don't know, Firefall was
it essentially was the same type of game here, right? Like a giant mech MMO where everybody was PvE against alien monsters. And that game, he mismanaged the development of that game so bad that not only did he spend like dev money on a promotional bus for the fucking game, even though it didn't come out and it was not even close to coming out, but his leadership was so shoddy that the board of directors for that game, of that independent endeavor, said, we want you gone. So like that was just another kind of complete disaster on his portfolio. Yep, Firefall had power suits instead of mechs, but same gameplay concept. So it's like, be very wary of Firefall, right? And I know Ravul's saying a new demo drop for Patreon subscribers. Good. I'm glad that there is actually something, but I'm still, I think I'm still standing with Nils where it's too lit. Like, you're not showing enough for where you should be. And it just doesn't inspire confidence, especially when Kern spends all day retweeting everything. Like he's on, Elon, like he's like Elon Musk or whatever. Like he's just on all the time and so concerned with like being in the conversation. So it's like you have a team of 4 developers, 3 or 4, and one of them is spending all of his time online. I don't see how this project's going to succeed anytime in the next 60 years, right? So going back to what Corey said, the whole thing about the people offering money to make him disappear, he should know by now that you get known like him, you're going to get death threats. Just got to ignore them. So, yeah, for those of you who don't know, over the last couple days, there have been a bunch of like streamers and YouTubers and stuff who have been making death threats. They are death threats. They're obviously, I will admit they are very clearly being intended as a joke, as a very hyperbolic statement. But unfortunately, in this day and age where people want to read things like that and just run with it, they are legitimate death threats. But these streamers have been saying like, oh, $20,000 bounty on Mark Kern to make him go away, 30,000, 50,000. And it's like, yes, that is sort of like really bad behavior. But there are 2 things that make me go, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I'm with you, Corey. And one is, yes, this is the internet. You will always get flung death threats. I get death threats all the time, and all I do is regurgitate like other news articles. And so like sort of existing on the internet comes with that territory, especially if you're going to be a big personality. Now, my second point is that I'm pretty sure I believe that the bounty jokes were being made in jest. Nobody is going to actually offer $20,000 to kill somebody publicly on the internet. Some crazy lunatic might take that and run, but I do not believe that was their original intentions, right? So, no, hey, listen, why don't you calm the fuck down for a second, Zero, and let me get to my point? Because Zero's saying, let's be honest, Mav, who the fuck jokes about death threats? I don't like the way Kern is attention whoring, but death threats is a line I don't cross when it comes to jokes. So, yes, I agree. You shouldn't really joke about death threats, but I also find it really hard to clutch my pearls when that same sort of hyperbolic, insulting, like, rhetoric comes from the other side as well. Like, I'm not going to pretend like I don't see jokes all the time about we should exterminate Kotaku journalists. Right? Or we need to like silence the people who are like wokeifying our games. Like, I see it is a problem and nobody should really be making those death threats. But at the same time, if you're going to excuse the behavior when it comes from your side, you have to give that same grace to the other side. I've seen so many people in this sphere, and not on this topic, but on any other topic, go, oh, what do you like? They were joking. They're not really serious about that. Why are you guys all getting in a tiff? Like, why are you all freaking out and running like this, like it's real? Again, on today's Helldivers article, right? That I wrote, a lot of the comments are going, wow, Sony's doing this to keep players safe. I remember the days of Xbox Live, lobbies and how all the shit talking would go there. We need to bring those days back. We need to do all that. Well, and they go, oh, but, and then, you can easily point out on those services, those sort of threats were made. I will fucking kill you. I will kill your family. I'm going to find out where you live and I'm going to beat you to death. all of those stuffs were made. All of those sort of threats were made. But when the Xbox Live ecosystem comes up in conversation, everybody goes, whoa, 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 they're just joking. They're very clearly just joking. And it's like, okay, I can give them that grace, but you have to give grace to the other people who are like, who say it all the time, right? For example, yes, and yeah, Nils, Sony captures communications in their games. They are listening to you now. So you can't even like say a swear word, right? So while you shouldn't be making death threats, and I don't think anybody should ever really be leaning on that rhetoric, it is one that's always going to exist out there, and it really, people need to be better about judging, like taking things in context and not removing everything to get a headline capture, right? Again, don't make death threats. I think that it's very immature behavior, even if you're like joking about it, especially if you're joking about it like out in public with people you might not necessarily know. Like I might make a death threat joke to Nils, right? If we're playing Dokapon Kingdom and he gets a better roll, I might go, Nils, I'm going to blow up your car. But he knows, because in that context, it's a joke. We are having fun, and it is only the four of us, or like me, him, and our whoever else might be playing with us. I would never say that on a large forum because it can very clearly be taken the wrong way, even if your intent was the complete opposite. So while I don't agree that all these people are great and that they were doing the best things, and I think it was so hilarious. Like, no, all these streamers and YouTubers suck. But I also think Mark needs to lean off of trying to sensationalize it so much, right? Unless he's going to take the same stance against other instances of interpretable speech, for lack of a better term, right? Like when somebody says something and it can be taken in any amounts of way. And then, Zero says, the streamer who gloated about raising the bounty on Kurd and said police wouldn't do shit to her, it went viral enough that she privated her Twitter and went into hiding. Right, because, but again, it went viral, but that's people reacting to that clip. I don't know how many people say stupid shit. And I am willing to give, when people say stupid shit, I'm willing to, at least in a lot of cases, I will give you the benefit of the doubt that maybe your intention was not that. Maybe you want to, say it better. But, like people are just reacting out to the death threats, and she probably just didn't want to deal with it. There's no magic trigger where if you've fucked up hard enough, the world will magically lock your Twitter account, right? And private it. That's a voluntary decision. So yeah, she's getting pushback for it, but her decision to lock and private herself really has no bearing on me because she didn't have to. It just sort of shows that she doesn't want to engage with that anymore. So obviously no more censorship, no death threats, but also stop treating Kern like an ideologue or stop treating him as a figurehead. He is not the Cyclops. He is not the Professor Xavier. He's not the Magneto of this moment. He is just another grunt in the trenches with us. And that's how we all should sort of remember like where we stand. Now, clearly we have sort of run, we had a lot, we didn't even get to the main topics tonight because we obviously, you guys rule. I almost love when we don't get to the main topic because that just means you guys are active. We're having a good time. We're talking about whatever may come our way. Love it. Like shout out to all you guys. But I figure, because my last call for last minute news this week is relevant to the main story, I figured I might as well touch on it. It'll be a really quick flash in the pan, and then I'll let you guys get out of here to enjoy your Fridays. But in case you guys didn't hear the news, earlier this week, Square Enix announced that they would be canceling a number of console titles in order to sort of rewrite their ship and, as you can see here, to quote, be more selective and focused in the allocation of developmental resources. No, Zero, that's exactly what we're getting to right now. Yeah. So, unfortunately, outside of that statement, we don't really know much more about what's happening. We don't know what specific titles were canceled. We don't know how far along any were in development. The only thing we know, and I sort of specified it in my little intro spiel, is the fact that these were console games because they came from their HD console games section, which is completely separate from their mobile, their mobile team. So, yes, and that's I will get to that, Nils. Don't worry. That's definitely what we're going to talk about. So, to me, I am sort of unsurprised by this move because, now I'm not unsurprised because of game sales. Because as much as people want to doom and gloom over, the sales of Remake and Final Fantasy 16, they were fine. They weren't gangbusters, but they were not disasters. Did they maybe undersell a little bit? Yes, probably. But I also, caution that the numbers that we see, A, don't include digital sales, and B, we haven't seen updated Final Fantasy 16 one since it hit PC, which, I think that's going to make a difference with Remake too, right? Like when Remake hits and people go, finally, the window's open, we can PC it, you're going to see that thing will explode, in popularity, all the time. But aside, they've just been making the dumbest business decisions possible in recent years, and specifically aside from all the censorship, aside from all of their mandating video games do this or that, but it's what Nils brought up. So around this time last year, probably roughly 12 months to the date, the company CEO announced that they were going to go really hard into NFTs. And I don't know if you guys remember, but this time last year, NFTs were already sort of fucking dead. That train had already long sailed last year. But Square Enix was going, that is what we want. We want blockchain technology. That's going to be our future. That's what we're developing for. An example of how dedicated they were to this fucking bullshit. And again, this is one that affects me personally. So Square Enix has a line of figures called the Bring Arts line, right? The really nice, really detailed, tall figures. And they recently announced, last year, they announced that they were going to do a full set of Final Fantasy VII style, here, I'm just gonna bring up the page. Yeah, so they announced. It's not what I want. You're being dumb. Okay. There we go. This is what it. So they announced this line of figures, right? It's really nice, high quality figures of the FF7 OG appearances of pretty much all of the team in Sephiroth. These things, the reason they all cost $20 more than a usual Bring Arts figure is because they're all bundled with a mandatory NFT thing. And I think they actually removed that. So now you're just paying $130 for the figure. It's an absolutely fucking bizarre decision, right? So it was just a bad move. We all saw that was coming. You're reaping what you sow. Obviously, I'm sort of stoked on it because I think everything in entertainment, whether it's movies, comics, or whatever, everything needs to be culled and better curated because we just throw shit out there like the Marvels nowadays, and we just expect that to do well. And it's no, we need actual quality experiences right away. 16 isn't on PC yet. Well, then even better. Thanks, Reeve. Then when those numbers drop, we'll probably see a giant boost. I definitely see that. But yeah, so just not surprising in that aspect. As for, the main reason I wanted to bring it up is sort of what Reeve is getting at, just to sort of speculate, talk about what they might have canceled. Reeve brings up, I hope that one of the games wasn't an HD 2D or remake of Chrono Trigger. I did hear that Strangers of Paradise 2 was one of those canceled games. I've heard that too. So I've heard Strangers of Paradise 2. I've also heard another Diofield game, which is kind of a bummer because those games were pretty quality if you could invest in them, if you had the opportunity to. But then, yes, those are the only NFTs we want, Shinkai. The nice fucking titties. Good roll. Good man. Good taste. But, yeah, so, all I can really say is that it seems like a lot of these games were the ones that they, it's no flagship titles are being affected. Let's put it that way, right? Final Fantasy Remake or 7 Remake Part 3, completely fine. Kingdom Hearts 4, completely fine. For the time being, Zero's favorite game, Zero Exodus or Brave Exodus, is completely fine. But all these other sort of mystery titles we could have seen are, for at least right now, backburnered, put in the bin, whatever. And the reason I sort of used that cuddling language there is that I'm thinking about what Reeve said, right? Like maybe one of them was a remake or an HD 2D port of Chrono Trigger, and it's like, if it was, then it's on the back burner right now. But I would not, if that was one of the games, I'd say like that's a game that could easily come back later. Like there's no way. I feel like every quarterly meeting, there's somebody just goes, like points out a post-it note that says Chrono Trigger, and everybody goes, or like, no. So like something like that. Yeah, we probably aren't getting a Dragon Quest Builders 3. I hope. I think there. I think Front Mission 3 was left to be remastered as part of that series, and I don't know if that'll happen anymore. There were probably a bunch of like World of Final Fantasy type side games, you know what I mean? Again, we're Dragon Quest 12. Ravul asked Dragon Quest 12, and I would say that's safe too. Again, your big flagships over there, your Final Fantasy, your Kingdom Hearts, your Dragon Quest, those main entries are fine. Side entries, like Nils said with Dragon Quest Builders, those are the ones that are, or Final Fantasy with Strangers of Paradise, those are the ones that are more likely to just be gone forever, right? Or those side titles are the ones that are more likely to be affected by this cancellation wave, rather than no Kingdom Hearts 4, DQ12, FF17, or whatever. Like those are all going to be fine for the time being, because that's your bread and butter. Those games will sell. Even if they're not great, they'll sell. Like Kingdom Hearts is going to sell when it comes out. And maybe that's just me being optimistic, because I need a new one. I need to know if my theory is right. And that the fact that at the end of the last trailer, Sora wakes up in real Shibuya. And I'm pretty sure that's how they're going to bring in Star Wars and Marvel, because now he's in a real world. And I need you to rip that Band-Aid off like immediately, Disney. Like just tell me it's going to be bad. But yeah, that is the Square Enix news. Again, I think it is a positive move, even though we're going to lose a couple games that might have come out, because again, we just need to really focus everywhere. Just go back to delivering quality and not just shitting shit out. Or, I know that was a dumb sentence, but like not just dropping things, throwing things. Put care, put love, put people onto these products or these experiences and these releases that actually care about what they're doing and aren't just trying to keep themselves in the conversation, essentially, which is what a lot of these releases are. Oh, look, another Square Enix game. Now Square Enix gets to be talked about for a little bit. Don't forget we exist. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts Shibuya incident. That's what I keep thinking, Shinkai. I always keep like mashing the World Ends With You with Kingdom Hearts 100%. Dude, Ravul, yes, I just want a Dragon Dragoon remaster. I want that too, but now that you brought it up, I now fear that was probably one of the canceled titles. Oh, that sucks. There was probably that. I bet there was like a Legend of Dragoon remake. Like, come on already. Yeah, Nier. I need just like a Nier collection, right, Ravul? Like, I need like Nier, Drakengard 3, both versions of Nier, Nier, then Nier, or Nier Automata, and then Nier, whatever the other one was that just released that with Kane that I like cannot remember for the life of me for some reason. But I need a collection of those games, right? Yeah, Reeve says a brief glimpse of Endor was in that trailer, so that's what I think, Reeve. Like, I think that metal cup thing is a walker foot. We don't know yet, and I will admit that it's in that sort of gray area where I could be just reading too hard into it, but like, so yes, I know that fact, but to what oh, you're right, Legend of Dragoon is Sony, not Square. I always mix that up because it's just that RPG era. You know what I mean? Like it all just flops into my mind. But let's see. Yeah, Reeve, and then Reeve, you say we already had the real world Pirates of the Caribbean. That's different than what I mean. I don't mean like graphically real world. I mean like the actual real like world. Because like Pirates of the Caribbean is still fantasy, right? Like it's still got all of that. But then like Marvel takes place in New York City with like real human people. So it just, I feel like it's going to get weirder. And then if you start trying to do Star Wars, it's bring it full circle like we tend to do on this show. To me, it's less that it's going to be in a real world and more like once you bring in Star Wars and Marvel, it's just going to start feeling more like cynical. Like you're just throwing this in because look at what we have. Do you want it now? I mean, that's what they did with Kingdom Hearts 3, right? Like things like Frozen and Big Hero 6 got put in that game because they were like, these are our big properties. Do them now. Like give promotion to that. So that is what I mean by like, yeah, I don't feel like it would jam well. It would be super weird. And I don't need Sora slinging webs. I really don't. All right. Yeah. So with that said, yeah, like I said, that's all we've really got for Square Enix. I just wanted to touch upon it, let you guys know changes are coming. See, I'm always up for talking Kingdom Hearts. I know we're at we are at the very end of the show, but I just realized I never really discussed it. But with my mention of Sora slinging webs, yes, our stream buddy tonight is Spider-Man. If you guys have been watching X-Men 97, the wall crawler, the 90s Christopher Daniel Barnes version of the wall crawler made a cameo, a non-speaking cameo in the most recent episode. Pretty fun. Just neat to see him. I'm always a fan of seeing Spider-Man. Quick X-Men 97 review. Again, we'll probably talk more about it once it ends, Zero, because there's like 2 episodes left. But overall, impressing me a lot more than it did at the very beginning. The narrative and story is still kind of meh, but I am enjoying the direction still, like a lot of the way everybody moves, not the animation, but just like the direction of how they move and all that sort of stuff. So very, very, very surprised by what we're getting out of it, but we'll talk about it more later when we have more time, obviously. But yeah, the Nightcrawler Santoryu, like Nightcrawler kicked so much ass in that most recent episode. Like he's so cool. I'm glad he's finally getting his due. And then yeah, Reeve Frozen with the stupid musical numbers. Like that's what I mean. Like I want to see like a Moana world, right? Like that's what I want to see. I want to see a Rocketeer world. But no, we're going to see the MCU world, and then we're going to see Endor world. And then it's just going to be like, like I just feel the like hype exit my body immediately. Like there's just nothing about the thought of Sora in the MCU makes me excited to engage with that. But yeah, guys, end of the show tonight. I'm super happy as always that everybody came to hang out tonight. Nils, Timon, Ravul, Reeve, Shinkai, Zero, Andrew, Corey, Banana, and of course everybody who will watch in the replay, the VOD. I know you're out there. I see the view counts going up through the week. So I thank all of you guys for tuning in. As always, like I do the show for you guys to, we spend so much time just rolling our eyes and being bombarded with bullshit that, I want to take Fridays to have this moment to hang out with you guys, talk and just, talk about fun things, have some laughs, deep dive into topics instead of just going, this is going to be awful. So I'm glad you guys checked it out. Friday nights, I always look forward to them. That being said, if you want to see more of me, you can catch me on Twitter at Kabuto Rider Mav. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button, hit all of those fun YouTube notification buttons, I guess, for lack of a better term. I'm just repeating myself. If you want to see more of me live, you can obviously come back same Mav time, same Mav channel next week for another episode of The Good, the Mav, the Ugly. As always, we don't pick, the topics are sort of whatever comes up in the week, so I have no idea what we'll be talking about. It'll be a surprise, so stay tuned for that. If you can't wait until Friday, you can always catch me on Wednesdays on the 01 stream over at Bounding Into Comics at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, where where myself, Cider, Nerdigans, Jacob, and Josh, we break down the biggest news stories of the week, and that's where you'll get the more mainstream stuff, your Star Wars, your Marvel, your DC, all that kind of fun stuff. So you can check me out there, check me out here, check me out there. As always, guys, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I hope you guys play something great. I hope you read something great. I'm sure I will be talking to most of you throughout the weeks. Wait, what did I say? Who? Volume? Wait, I thought I said hi to Volume. What did I do? No. If I didn't shout out Volume Dealer, I definitely meant to shout out Volume Dealer. Take care, everyone. Yes, Eccentric. We'll see how far my beard gets the next time. Maybe I can start doing the Ivor from Assassin's Creed style, like beard braid. So we will see how far I get with that in a week's time span. So with that, guys, take care. I have your last call for last minute news. It is related to Square Enix, obviously, but it also links back to a little show called Gintama that we brought up like a show or two ago. So check out the clip. I think it's pretty funny. For context, yes, they are talking about prior to this scene happening, Gintoki had a sword stuck in his butt cheeks, jammed in there like Excalibur. So with that, let's check out what Square Enix has to do with Gintama, and I will see you in a second.
来やがったか。どうやらケツの獲物は使えるようになったらしいな。
ケツの獲物？ああ、このエイリアン殺しのことかな。
嘘をつけ！
何が？
何がじゃねえだろ。そんなでっけえ剣ケツに刺さってたわけねえだろ。
難癖つけんなよせ。ケツに食い込んでた部分はこれくらいあったんだよ。
難癖つけてんのはてめえだろ。鞘にふさわしい剣を決闘で決めるっててめえが決めたルールだろ。
それはケツに刺さっていたというにはあまりにも大きすぎた。大きく分厚く重く、そして大雑把すぎる嘘だった。
ベルセルク風のナレーションで後悔してんじゃねえよ。
うるせえな。ケツに刺さってた剣なら脇差しとしてちゃんとここにあるよ。侍ってのはもともと二本差しだろうが、真剣勝負の時くらい侍らしくいそうすろや。
侍アルマジキヘリクス言い出したよ。
銀さん、さすがにそれは無理がある。
やっぱりこっちの方がいいやろ。
そういう問題じゃないから。ベルセルクから FF にすり替わっただけじゃねえか。
興味ないね。それは FF というにはあまりにも進化しすぎていた。スリーとかフォートがあれくらいのファンタジーが好きだった。
何の話？
まあまあ。
Yeah, guys, right? Gintama, always hilarious. Dante, I wish I could grow a Fu Manchu ever since I was a teenager. I've always wanted to, but this mustache game is really bad. I will not be able to get the drooping things. But yes, Gintama, if you guys haven't checked it out, it is hilarious. Yeah, Zero, I thought you would enjoy that. Complete gag anime. Obviously, makes... I can't speak enough good things about it. Check out Gintama, whether through the manga, the anime, even the live action movie is pretty good if you have if you're short on time. But with that, guys, yes, you are so welcome, Zero. Thanks for the ride to all of you. Have a great weekend. I will see you soon. And yeah, as always, take care. Oh no, I'm not going to show the Chinese Gintama censorship. These clips are meant to be fun. We're supposed to end on a high note, Nils, right? But yes, with that said, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. You will I'll probably talk to every single one of you at some point over the weekend. Until next time, take it easy, and I will see you very soon.
来ました。来やがったか。
As the creator of Mara Jade,
Wait! I am not the creator of Mara Jade, and I want you to get out of this office right now.
I'm sorry, Zeb.
No way.
You brought
No
it on
way.
You brought it on yourself.
I don't want you here.
I'm so
Out.
sorry, George. I didn't think it would go like this.
Out.
Jen, I got your voucher.
Out! There.
I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry. We'll have him burned and we'll
I don't
execute
even
him.
know who that guy is.